Sorry, just turning on some true crime with Kendall Ray. So I have something to listen to while cooking, because I hate cooking. Yeah, I know. It's weird, but whatever. Yes, a woman that does not like cooking. Strange, I know. But it's fine. Guess we can finish listening to this one. What's going on with the sound?
By Oak Island Tour Group.
Alright, I guess we'll start this one over. This one's the buried treasure on Oak Island. It's Kendall Ray. True Crime with Kendall Ray is what I'm listening to while I cook, because I don't like listening to silence because I'm weird. Anyway, yeah. So here we go, I guess.
Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you about one of the biggest treasure hunts of all time, as well as a possible curse. Today we are talking about Oak Island. I did a podcast on it about a year ago.
I'm using
Oak Island is a really small island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. It's actually only about a mile long, and this island is actually thought to be filled with a bunch of treasure, whether that's jewels.
This is not my house. I am house sitting at the moment.
As the money pit, actually. But since it's been discovered, things haven't gone great for the excavators and people working on trying to recover the treasure. So a lot of people think that it could be possibly cursed. So before I get started with the story, the dates and the facts from this story are not known to be 100% accurate. This has been information that's been passed along from person to person, so the beginning parts of the story are a little foggy. So no one knows who exactly discovered the treasure or the money pit, but there is one story that seems to be the most widely believed, so I thought I would share that version of things with you guys. The story goes that sometime between 1795 and 1799, a 16-year-old guy named Daniel McGinnis was on the island for a fishing trip. And apparently while he was walking around the island, he discovered kind of a depression in sand. The depression was on the southeast side of the island. This would become known as the money pit. So the next day, Daniel brought his two friends back there, and they decided to start digging it up. And as they were digging down, they got 2 feet down before they realized that there was a layer of...
I don't know if everything's gonna fit in this pan,
pan,
but
and then they realized as they dug that
I don't know.
3 meters down,
We'll find
there was
out.
a layer of oak wood. Now, the story goes that they ended up digging, the 3 of them, 30 feet down that day, like removing things out and everything. That's where they decided to stop, although I really have a hard time believing they dug 30 feet down. That sounds really hard to do. 3 kids with a shovel in 1700. So, according to the story, they dug 30
this is
feet
ground
down,
charisse.
realized it's going to take a lot more than 3 dudes with a shovel to dig this up. So, for whatever reason, the money pit was abandoned for the next 9 years. This is when the 3
Normally when I make it with
decided to come back to the money pit and do full
ground beef with taco seasoning. But lately, when I do make it, I've been using charisse.
to help dig this up. And then sometime around the year 1802, a group known as the Onslow Company sailed from Nova Scotia to Oak Island to look for the treasure. So they ended up continuing the excavation down to 90 feet, and they found logs every 10 feet.
Apparently I can't tell the
They
difference.
also found mysterious layers of coconut fiber.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Very
Sorry.
strange things. It seems like they
I'm a
were
dumbass,
possibly
don't mind me.
there on purpose, but for what reason? And then when they got deep enough, they eventually found this large stone
find
with
like
symbols on
a
it. This is one of the most
spatula or
interesting things
something.
about Oak Island.
I went to
So
grab the
here
one out of my
is the
trunk,
stone.
but I
Now,
forgot.
we believe that this is just some type of hieroglyphs. We don't
You
know
think that
exactly
there'd be
what
a
it says.
spatula
There's
around here
various
somewhere.
researchers that say that it
Maybe.
means different things. Every
Maybe
expert
not.
is going to claim something different. But the most widely accepted translation of this is 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. So, if this is really what it says, that is a lot of money. It would definitely be something awesome to find today because of inflation. I mean, today, 2 million pounds would be hundreds of millions of dollars. But it's hard to say because this could be an incorrect translation. The researcher ended up saying that he
be so difficult? Oh, my hand's cramping already. I love the sure smell. I should have got a half a pound instead of a whole pound. Oops. Oh well. It's haunted. They're still digging at that site too. I was watching a video the other day about the people that actually own the site. Yeah, it's as far as Sharice. Yeah. Almost a pound. How many people are gonna die in this hole before they realize that there's probably nothing in the hole? Hopefully while they're, because I know they're still excavating at the site, hopefully like they're like taking better safety precautions at the site now. I have to grab the... I got chili beans to add to it, but I don't know if I'm gonna add them or not. Just a minute. Corn. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, Nova Scotia, wasn't Nova Scotia part of France at the time and not Britain yet? I don't know. I don't know my Canadian history very well. I'm just getting stuff ready. Using Tostitos, medium restaurant sauce salsa. Normally I use the orange one, but I decided to use this one today. I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking for a strainer. I need to find a strainer. Where would a strainer be? Like, that's the cycle. I don't know anything to do. So there's another theory called the Holy Grail theory, and that's basically where another author named Stephen Sora claimed that he thinks the island was dug up by the Knights of Templar, and that they actually buried the Holy Grail there, and that would be the cup that Jews drink from on the island. The Knights of Templar were a Catholic military order to be created in 1139 in Israel. And the problem with this theory is that the Knights of Templar and Jesus were around hundreds of years before America was discovered. Then there's got to be an Illuminati theory in there somewhere, right? There's another author, and his name is Mark Finan. In one of his books, he claims that there was a connection between the pit and the Illuminati. Mark claims that the original creators of the site were actually part of the Freemasons, which is a very interesting topic. Basically, a international secret group similar to Illuminati, but Mark thinks that there's a lot of people in the Freemason group that know the true meaning of the island and what is buried there. Another interesting theory. Then there's a theory that it is just a sinkhole, literally. That maybe those guys that first saw the depression actually just came upon a sinkhole, and that it's something completely natural, and that this island is just prone to more sinkholes. A lot of people think that a long time ago there was a sinkhole that happened, and then over time it was filled with trees and the flagstone, whatever else was down there, coconut fiber, honey. So this kind of makes sense, but I also feel like if they were telling us the truth about how they found this, that it was like layered and measured all out, that would be kind of crazy for that to just happen by chance, but what do I know? Another little interesting tidbit here to note, though, is that in 1949 there was actually another money pit found pretty close to Oak Island, about 15 minutes away. I don't want, so I bought, I don't want to tip it too much because it's already open. Chili beans, I messed up, I meant to buy these beans, but I accidentally bought chili beans, so my weird ass is going to rinse them. Because I don't, no, it's not that much liquid in it, I don't know. Trying to decide what to do. So apparently there's still a lot going on at this island. This is from Reddit literally 4 days ago. It says, I'm a local and was on the water Sunday cruising past Oak Island's money pit, and there's lots of activity going on all summer here. It's burning. So if you live close to this area, or if you have this is what, another reason why I hate cooking. Welcome to Jessica's cooking show, where she hates cooking and she burns everything. I bake better than I cook. The middle of this pan is always like burning. There's actually something like permanently stuck to it. I scrubbed it earlier, and I scrubbed it before too, but no matter how much I scrub it, it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to decide if I should actually like rinse these or if I should just I don't know. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing another Where Is video, and today's case is another really frustrating one without really any answers at all, actually, and barely any evidence or any clues or anywhere to turn. There's barely any leads. Sometimes cases are easy to work on. There's almost too much information that it's overwhelming, and then there's cases like these
My hand slipped because it's wet. Anything, and just scraping the internet for anything. As much as try to lay out all the information available in this video, but I still feel like there's a huge amount of information not being
Again, that's just restaurant style, medium salsa. Tocino queso blanco. Oh my goodness.
Just as much as she is. Before we get started, I almost forgot we have another Thorn campaign design. This is such a cute design. It has Thorn's slogan, which is
Smells
defend
good.
happiness. It has the roses in there. It's really pretty. This might be one of my favorite ones yet. And this was made by a graphic designer named Kristen. I will link all of her stuff below. Go show her some love. I'm super thankful.
I need to grab
all of our designers. That's why
spoon.
I'm now giving away chill packs, which are awesome. If you don't know what's in my chill pack, it's hemp
Yeah,
CBD,
this should work.
it's monk
Hopefully
products,
it's
it's
not
a gift
dirty.
card to my merch site, and it's my coloring book all in one pack. So now anyone who designs a design will be getting one of those. There is a link to submit designs below. You guys always ask me, it's always there. Anyone can submit a design. Just make sure you follow the information listed on the form. But anyway,
Again, I'm listening to Kendall Ray. I think it's called, the channel's called True Crime with Kendall Ray. If you like true crime stuff, you probably like her. Oh, I actually just recently found out that Crime Junkies is coming. I think it's actually this coming weekend. Or something like that. They're coming up to this area. That'd be cool to see. I looked up the price of the tickets though, and unfortunately they're expensive, so. Therefore, I will not be attending, unfortunately. But
she has a daughter who is now about 4 or 5 years old-ish. She was around 2 when Akia went missing. I'm sorry, my house is a city. What can I say? Guys, can we just chill out? Akia was living in the Cherry Hill area of Baltimore, and she was described as a very high-energy person, did not like to sit around at all, was always doing something, was very active, dancing. In fact, this is a clip that she posted to YouTube of herself dancing. She was also described as an incredible person who would take her shirt off her back for any stranger. She really put others in her family and her friends before herself, and she was constantly giving of herself. She was just one of those people.
it's just whole kernel corn. I got the no salt added one.
Everyone was excited to see.
She went through a lot due to the death of her mom.
Akia, the oldest of the siblings, was only 17.
She was very close to her mom.
And Akia's daughter was from a previous relationship. That information has not been, disclosed about who her father was. But
It's not anybody's
Akia was
business who her
a
dad
great
is.
mom to her daughter. She was super active in her life, always playing with her, dancing with her, goofing around with her. They had a lot of fun together. So at this time in her
good.
life,
Didn't
she
go over.
has this 2-year-old daughter, and she also has just become pregnant with another man who she decided to keep a secret from the family. It's super weird and no one knows why she did this, but she would not tell anyone the name of the baby's father. But she was super into
Maybe
being
it was
a
the
mother,
same
so
dad.
she was more than thrilled about this
She didn't want them to know she got back
child, and
together
she was
with.
gonna have a boy. So she was really excited. The family was calling him Baby Eggleston, but this was actually a really tough pregnancy for her. It was considered a high-risk pregnancy, and the baby was actually breech.
This is my first time adding beans to this concoction, but we'll see how that goes.
She wasn't working. Most of the things that were being done for her were being done by friends and family. So she was absolutely, in a sense, useless.
So when she went missing, it was summer. She was getting ready to have this baby, and she was super, super excited. Sorry if you guys hear rain, by the way. A storm is brewing, and I feel like it's just going to get worse throughout looking
I just like
really, really
soaked my
excited.
foot.
So Akia and her family ended up planning a baby shower for her, and she was really, really into the process of planning it. Her family was really excited, and it was going to be on May 7th of 2017. But what is super weird is that
Sorry,
Akia
I'm
never
just trying
ended
to
up
like
showing up to her own
mitigate some of
baby
the mess
shower.
I
Like, they
made.
had the shower, and everyone
I
came
gotta mix
but
that
her.
up.
Of course, everyone in her family thought this was extremely strange and very unlike her. And what made it even weirder is that Akia had even put down $900 as a deposit for this baby shower. So she was definitely planning to come. Like, you don't just ditch your own baby shower. So this is when her grandmother tried calling her, and she could not get a hold of her.
So I texted her and asked her was a phone call. And she said no. Why? I said I have been texting you. She said I can't
Alright,
talk to
again,
you right
so it's
now.
Charisse,
I'll call you back later.
and then
I don't
whole
think
kernel
that's
corn. I
There
used
was
no
also
salt
a
added.
complete halt on all
Then
of her
there's
social media.
chili beans. I strained out the whatever stuff. Then it's restaurant style medium tostito salsa. And then queso blanco dip medium. Usually I use the orange one, but this time I figured I'd try the white one. And then I also decided, I don't usually put beans in it, but I decided to put beans in it this time. So
I guess they maybe wanted to hold that
figure
information in
I'd
case,
try it.
maybe something that they can use for a case against someone.
Another reason we know that she was planning on moving in with her baby
I gotta
daddy
rinse that
is because
stuff.
her roommate actually had text messages with her where she was talking about how she was going to move in with her baby daddy. So that's how they know that she was in the process of doing
Smells
that.
good.
Another thing though that her family did find at the
So basically what I normally do is I'll put the concoction in a bowl, and then I add some sour cream, and then I usually will
Her family was very upset about this whole actually. I mean, it was not a violent person.
I'll usually eat it with scoops.
Or anything like that, so they just thought this makes no sense. So soon after this, her family actually realized that
So yeah, I'm just gonna rinse these things out and
doctor's appointment for her
clean
baby.
up a little
This
bit
is right
while
around
that's
the time that
simmering.
you're supposed to go every week. So it was very strange that she didn't show up, especially because she took her pregnancies really seriously and always went to her doctor's appointments. Everyone started to realize that Akia had actually been missing since May 3rd, and the shower was May 7th, so it
I don't
already
think
been
I've heard
4
this one.
days that she had already been possibly missing for. And this was really upsetting for the family because they had no for sure date of when she was last not missing and when did she officially go missing. So right away, her family felt like something was seriously wrong. They knew that this was completely out of character for her and that she wouldn't run away or leave because she's, you know, pregnant and it's a high-risk pregnancy and she's not going to decide to move to another state or something, randomly make a change in her life as some people think that she may have done. I mean,
How is everybody doing tonight?
but it seems really
We're having a good
Akia was
night,
known for being extremely close to her.
busy night,
She would
boring
not
night.
just walked away from them all, taken her baby, their grandbaby away from them. Like, she wasn't like that. And at first, unfortunately, the police didn't really take it very seriously. They actually figured that
I
she
will
possibly
read the
was
comments in a
being
few minutes.
but when the police came to the apartment themselves to do the
pretty much
initial
as soon as I'm
canvass,
done
they
rinsing this stuff.
really found absolutely nothing. They
And
talked to
I
her roommate, her female roommate.
Stir that again, I will read the comments.
Police ended up asking an apartment maintenance worker if he had seen her, and when they first got there, he said that he had just seen her an hour ago. So they were feeling
I
pretty good
put
about
those.
things at first. But no one really knows what he was talking about because there's pretty much no way he would have seen her. I mean, no one saw her for days up to that baby shower. And then police asked for camera footage from the apartment complex, and of course, the camera that they would need to actually see her was not working. At first, the police were really focusing in on tips from random people who claimed they may have seen her out and about, but none of them ever panned out. They were actually all determined to be like false tips, so that never got them anywhere. They did 2 physical searches of 2 areas, which they weren't specific about, and both of those areas came back
Rinsing
negative, so
stuff
they
for
did not find
recycle.
anything. So the FBI ended up deciding to enter her information in a database that would allow any hospital in the entire country to see that people were looking for her. Because she was so close to giving birth, they figured that she might be going to the hospital soon, and only
Ooh,
find her
burning.
this way. The
Whoops.
chances of her having given birth
My
in
bad.
private were pretty slim. I mean, not by choice probably, because she knew this was a high-risk pregnancy and she was probably going to need some serious medical attention. But her due date
I wonder
came
why it was a
and
high-risk
there was
pregnancy.
no sign of Akia at any of these hospitals. So about a month later in July, the police ended up discovering her on security camera footage in a bank on May 3rd, which was the last day that she was seen. There are bank records of her transaction as well as surveillance footage of her in the bank, and police ended up talking to the bank tellers, and they said that she seemed totally fine and didn't seem
Oh
like
no,
anything
my
was wrong
watch is
with her.
dying.
And at this point, the police were
I
starting to
can
change
actually
their
turn
minds
this
a little
down
bit
to
and started to
low.
think that maybe there was foul play involved in this case. So the Baltimore police ended up doing
It's
a
gonna suck
small
trying to
news
wash
conference.
dishes because that sink is
Investigators are really
full.
trying to build some type of timeline to kind of make sense of what was going on in
Alright,
Akia's
let me
life
see.
before she went missing. A neighbor
Jesus
had claimed
loves
they had
you.
seen Akia on the
Yeah.
bus the day before
Sure.
she went missing. So they looked at all the security
hold on.
footage of the buses in the area, all
Trying
the
to
possible
see.
routes, all the ways she could have traveled, and they weren't able to find her on any of the cameras. In October, the family held a vigil for Akia in her apartment.
Sorry, it was on
This
the
was actually really crazy because that day they ended up finding
what's that
her
called?
debit card. Someone at the vigil was
This.
randomly like, I found something
Tripod.
over here, and Akia's dad goes over there, and he sees that it's her bank card just sitting in
Big
the grass.
Bang
That November, the
Theory. Big
police
Bang
ended
Theory.
up
Big Bang
creating
Theory is a good show. I haven't seen that in a
$25,000
long
reward for anyone
time.
who might have information.
Wingardium
However,
Leviosa. Why
despite
do you got
this,
the
there
middle
have never
finger?
been any new leads.
Huh? Learn some Arabic. I cannot read Arabic, unfortunately.
At that time,
Not yet.
we
Eventually.
described this
Hopefully.
case as no indications of foul play. At this stage,
But
I think we're prepared to pivot that foul play is something that we are absolutely exploring because she was
I
8 months
am going to
pregnant
go
at the time.
grab a charger.
We just want to make sure we put this information
Please.
back out there for people to share on social media and see
about
if we
to
can
die.
try our best to locate some information as to what might have occurred with Akia Eggleston.
Something that's really horrible about this case is the major lack of news coverage.
I'll
There's
let that
been
simmer
local news coverage for
while I
sure,
go
but there
grab
has barely been any national
the
coverage.
charger.
Their family says there literally weren't any national news outlets that were willing to even look at this case or cover it, which is incredibly sad. I'm really happy to hear that The View eventually picked them up. They gave them a nice long segment on their show.
And she was planning this baby shower. Would she have missed this baby shower?
Not a chance. She brought a dress. Her girlfriends were going to take her to get her hair and stuff done. But after May 3rd and the last communications with her grandmother, there was no interactions with anybody.
Now, I'm sure a lot of you are on the same page with me that you're thinking, okay, it's probably the weird, mysterious baby daddy that she was keeping secret from the world. The police did end up finding out the name of the baby daddy, and here's the weird thing. It turns out that this guy was actually childhood friends with Akia's stepfather, Sean, and he had no idea.
He was a childhood friend of mine,
What's his name?
Andre Michael Robinson. It was kind of like, wow, I didn't even know he was dating my daughter.
Now, technically, he's not a person of interest in this case. He's not considered a suspect, but he has been interviewed. But the police will not give out any more information when it comes to that. And the weirdest thing about this guy is apparently he's pretty much completely ghosted the family. He did not participate in any of the searches for Akia and his own son, and he's really hard to get a hold of. They
Maybe he
don't
did it.
ever hear from him. He has no interest in participating in finding them.
Sean, the father of Akia's baby is not technically a person of interest, but has he been helpful to you?
Zero. He has not provided any information. He will not call
Do y'all
me.
even
He
know
will
who
not
he
talk to
is?
me.
I thought he
Reached out
was
to
like
him
a
just to talk
secret.
to him on a personal level, but
Why
he
was
has
this
not talked
not
to me,
going in
and
the
I've
hole?
even been told by the police
Sorry, I'm
not to
trying to
interact with him.
plug
Where is he? Do you know
the
where he
charger
is?
We do
into
not
the
know where
hole,
he's at. The police
but
say
it's
they
not going in the
but I
hole.
don't know.
One thing I feel like is really important to talk
Ah,
about with this
fine.
case is the
Got me
relationship
in the hole.
between this family and the police. The family feels very unsupported. They feel like they have not taken the case seriously enough from the beginning. And they also have disagreements
stuff on
in
this
the
table.
information. The police claim that the day that Akia was seen at the bank on May 3rd, she also got money out from several different stops. That she was driving around getting a bunch of cash out because she possibly may have been trying to buy this big house for her baby daddy and she needed a lot of money. That's what they say. Although that's really weird because who gets out a bunch of cash to buy a house? That doesn't make any sense from a bunch of different locations.
We had her at the
Yeah,
Will
that's
Farms where she takes money out of the money machine and then goes to the counter and where she gets cashier's checks. We have her at a Wells Fargo in South Florida. She said she was waiting on a check to come in.
Where are these checks coming from?
Various places.
Her father says that this is not true. Her father says that she only went to one bank that day, the one that was shown, and that she got a normal amount of money out. It was nothing weird.
First things first, about the bank, I want to put out there that there's a story out there that she went to several banks. She did not go to several banks. That was a miscommunication upon the police department. They have not yet pronounced that statement, but that is the absolute truth about that.
Apparently that day she was bragging around with a female friend who's been really involved in the investigation. Police say that she's helped them a ton, given them tons of information, but none of that has been shared with the public. The family still feels like the police have made a major lack of effort. For example, her stepfather, Sean, says that one time he was in the neighborhood of the police station, passing the missing persons flyers for Kia, and he went across the street and gave some to the police there, and he claimed that the whole station had never heard of her before. Another reason this is really upsetting is because Akia's father is a veteran. You would almost think that someone who's fought for our country would have a priority with the police. As of now, there is still no more information out there, although I do feel like there is more that the police have, and I really hope they're working on a solid investigation and that maybe something will come out of this and we'll see this case get solved. Akia really could be out there with her son. It's completely possible. I've talked about stories.
So it
of
eventually
people
thickens up a little, as you can see.
babies, like pregnant women
not
are
as,
at
like-
risk of being taken by sometimes even other women. Like who knows what could have happened? She
People
could
be
have been
crazy,
lured
man.
somewhere. There's plenty of weird Craigslist things like that. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas, but I think that maybe it's possible that she is still out there. Of course, it's possible that someone did something to her, and you think maybe
Later
who
or something.
wouldn't want her around? Maybe her baby daddy. Right now,
I don't wanna, like,
Akia's daughter is being taken care of by
spoil it.
relatives. She constantly asks about her mom, apparently, and the family's just heartbroken because they have nothing to tell her. Investigators have put billboards up around Baltimore to increase awareness about her disappearance. Akia Eggleston is 4 feet 11 inches tall. She weighs approximately 100 pounds. Here is Akia's missing persons flyer.
I guess I'm just gonna
Of course,
dump
if you
it.
have seen her or have any information, you should definitely contact the
If I go
FBI's
over
Baltimore
the-
field office
actually,
at
I don't know.
410
Scoop it, maybe?
265 8080 or the Baltimore City Police Department at 410 396
I don't have a spoon.
2499.
It
Like
really
a-
is a mystery. If
you know,
there's a
one of
friend
those-
that she
what's that
confided
called?
secrets in about what might have been
So,
going on
we'll
in
do
her
it this
life,
way.
and you haven't shared those details, now's the time to do it.
The family says that not having Akia has been a major burden. It's just been heart-wrenching for them. And I can't imagine what your life would be like. Every day you're reminded that they're gone, and you have to think about it when you wake up, when you go to sleep. I mean, can you
Alright.
imagine what these families
I'm
go
gonna
through?
clean
It's
the side
so
of this.
devastating. And what's so frustrating is that there's probably someone out there with answers, and that if they just came forward, maybe we could put an end to this and at least give the family
Ooh, my
closure.
spicy
But that's
one
it for
is
me today,
vegan.
guys. Be sure to check out that new Thorn design that is limited edition. It will only be available for about 3 weeks. And remember, all of the profit of that is donated directly to Thorn. That's it for me today, guys. Be sure to stay safe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
It says so much.
Zenobia Williams and Ann Wilson have now only memories of their beloved Akia.
Words really can't describe
So,
the anguish that we're
and
going
Daisy.
through. My baby. She's about 3 weeks old right here. I remember that red dress that I helped pick out.
I'm still hurting. I still don't sleep at night. Really painful and it's hurtful to have a loved one gone and knowing that she was pregnant and nobody knows nothing.
That was my baby also. So, watching her grow up, doing her hair, acting with her, going places. We were very close.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Here's the final product. Ta-da! Sorry, I've been like saving this for a while, so I'm super excited.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
hold on.
So today I am going to be finally covering a case that I have been really wanting to cover for a while
I'm
now.
listening to Kendall Ray. True Crime with Kendall Ray. But yeah. Let me see about putting this up on the table. I'm not sure. Hold on. Sorry about the view. It's like the worst view ever. Hold on. There we go. I was trying to like get it up. That's what she said. But anyway, I gotta plug it in. Plug it in, plug it in. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to plug it in while it's tipped. Probably not. My luck. Nope. Of course not. Alright, hold on. I'll switch the but if I switch the phone around, then I won't be able to actually like look at the comments. Whatever. This is fine. It'll work. It's not the angle I would like it at, but what's this do? Oh, green screen. What does green screen do? Let's see. What are you woofing at? Oh, it's pictures of the sky I took earlier today. What's this do? Go back to the green screen. Add photos to your camera roll to get started. Well, there's already photos in my camera roll. Why do I have to add more photos to my camera roll? I don't know how to get rid of this green screen. I touched it and now it's there. And I don't know how to fix it. So, it is what it is. This is my food. You have food. You can go eat your food. Let's see how it is. It's different with the queso blanco instead of the other one. It's probably why it tastes different. It's a little spicier too for some reason. I wonder if it's like whatever seasoning is in the beans. I'm trying to figure out how to make the green screen go away. Because I click on the green screen and it tells me add photos to your camera roll to get started. How do I make it go away though? What does this do? 49-second short was uploaded to your channel as unlisted. Oh boy! Random crap being posted on my channel. Thanks. What does this one do? Chat filter. Chat filter. Show most messages with potential spam removed. Show every message including potential spam. Hide all chat messages. Yeah, whatever. What does this do? Community moderator. Live chat on. Participating mode. Oh, that's how you change it so only subscribers can chat with you. I was wondering because there's a channel that I occasionally come across when I'm doing the like swiping through the lives. And their channel you can only comment on if you're subscribed. Oh man. I just got on my shirt. I kinda wanna do laundry. But I also kinda don't. I don't know. So it says for channel blocked words and community defaults. I wonder, like, if you block words, tap enter after typing each word or phrase here. I wonder though, like, because obviously, like, I'd be typing in English. I wonder if it would block the same words, like, in another language. Like, for example, if I, like, put, say, I don't know, the B word or whatever. I don't know why I said the B word because I have no problem with saying bitch. But anyway, if I said, you know, put bitch, if it would block it in, you know, Spanish and Portuguese and, you know, whatever other languages. Well, girl, can't take me anywhere. But yeah, I wonder if you block certain words, like if I typed it in English, if it would block it in other languages too, or if it would only block it in English. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to get rid of the green screen. But I want to eat my food before it goes cold. There's no, like, chats either. There's one person watching. Hello, my one person watching. I hope you're having a good day. Oh, now nobody's watching. Goodbye. Apparently I can't get rid of the green screen. I don't know. Because if I click on the green screen thing, instead of giving me the option to, like, get rid of it, it tells me to add stuff to my camera roll in order to be able to do green screen. But I'm like, there's already a green screen there. I want to get rid of it. I don't want to add technology and I don't get along. Anyway, I'm going to go back to listening to the podcast. And, yeah, if you'd like to join me for dinner. Ask questions, whatever. I don't really care.
I was very nervous to do it because YouTube
Golden
doesn't really
State
like
Killer.
serial killer cases, it turns
Why
out.
not?
And this case is very, very
Serial killers are interesting.
not advertiser friendly. But I do have a sponsor for this episode, so we are all good to go. Today I'm going to be telling you about the Golden State Killer case. It is a fascinating case that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. The crimes go all the way back to the 70s, so this guy has been on the run for a really long time. It's a super fascinating case. I've done a podcast on it. I've mentioned it a few times here on my channel, and I really think when you guys hear the story, especially about how they ended up catching him, I think you're going to find it really interesting. So before we get started, this video was kindly sponsored by Audible. It's no secret that I love Audible. I truly do. I am a dyslexic person, so using audiobooks is so much better of an experience for me. 2 summers ago, when this case had first been solved, I listened to a book by Michelle McNamara called I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Audible is the best because it's so convenient. You can listen to your books wherever you want, whenever you want, and you can pick them up, pause them, like you can listen throughout your day multiple different times where you have free time. They're awesome when cleaning, driving, when you're just trying to fill the space with something to listen to. As an Audible member, you get 1 free audiobook every single month and 2...
Oh, if you were listening to my live stream earlier, when I had said I wanted to go to Walmart to get the vacuum bags, I ended up getting a pack. Not even like showing. Wow, okay. Somehow you'll be maybe able to see it. So weird. Anyway, hold on, let me grab the box. Oh my goodness. Green screen is... I can't get rid of the green screen. I'm trying to, but it just won't go away. But anyway, I got this one. It comes with... I love how it's like removable. It comes with 1 medium flat, which is 17.75 inches by 23.6 inches. 1 large flat, which is 21.65 inches by 33.5 inches. 1 jumbo flat, which is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. is 35.45 inches by 47.25 inches, which I know it tells you the diameters, but when I was looking at it in the store, I wasn't really doing like the 12 inches is this big and 24 and 36. You know what I mean? I wasn't really like thinking about it. I was just thinking, oh, 35 by 47. That sounds pretty big. And it should fit what I want in it. Not realizing how freaking big 47 inches is, because like that's pretty big. But and then a medium travel 13.75 by 19.75. So I have 3 out of the 4 still right here that you can't see because of the green screen that I can't get to go away. But so the jumbo one I ended up using to put my pillows in. I'm so happy they were in there. I put my 2 pillows in there. One's bigger than the other one, so like the big one was like I put like lengthwise in the bag, and then the other one I put lengthwise in the bag too. And then in the bag that I had in my backseat, I also had a weighted stuffed animal. It's a Pluto. It's from Walt Disney World. It's a weighted Pluto plush. So I put that in there too, which then ended up filling up almost as much as the other pillow. So I'm hoping to be able to just fit that in my trunk and I won't have to put it in my storage unit. But I might end up putting it in the storage unit. Now that it's in like a vacuum sealed bag, I was worried about putting it in the storage unit because I didn't want it to get smelly. I didn't want it to smell like funky from the not mildew, but from the storage unit. So that's why I had been keeping it in my car, because I didn't want it to be sitting in the storage unit. But now that it's in a Ziploc like sealed thing, I might put it in the storage unit. I'm still paranoid that they're gonna smell funky after. Like, they're my favorite pillows. Like, otherwise I wouldn't really care. Like, if it's just clothes or something that's easy to be washed, it'd be like, whatever, like, they can go in there. You know, if they smell funky later, I can just wash them. But, like, pillows are a lot harder to wash, especially, like, down. One of them's a down pillow, and I don't even think you can wash down pillows. If I'm wrong, let me know, because I don't know if you can or not. But I've never tried, and just the thought of trying to wash a down pillow is terrifying, because I wouldn't want to ruin it, because it's literally my favorite pillow, and I've had it since, like, forever. Yes, I change the cover on it frequently. I know a lot of people think, like, keeping a pillow more than, like, a year or 2 is gross and whatever. I've literally had this pillow since I can remember, but I keep it in, like, because of the fact that it's a down pillow and it, like, loses feathers all the time, I keep it in, like, multiple pillowcases, and then, like, it's in, like, 3 or 4 pillowcases, and then on top of that, it's in, like, an allergy pillowcase, and then it's in, like, another 3 or 4 pillowcases. So, like, I change the pillowcases. It's not like the pillowcases don't get changed when I use it. So it's not, yeah, it's an old pillow, but it's not as gross as it seems. It's not like I'm one of those people that use pillows without pillowcase. I can't do that. Oh my god, it grosses me out. But anyway, but yeah, so that one is, like, literally my favorite pillow. I've had it since I can remember, and for the longest time I couldn't even sleep without it. So I don't know. And then I have another pillow that's a similar cushiness to that one. It's a little bit more fluffy because it's a newer one. But I'm not sure exactly what that one's made out of. I think it's something similar to down, or maybe like a down, partial down, and then like some kind of like mixture of something else. I don't really know. But I don't know. So again, I didn't want those 2 pillows to like smell funky, so that's why they've been kicking around my car. But now I'm going to be able to probably stick them in storage. Part of me really wants to stick them in like a second Ziploc bag just to be careful. Just to be safe, just because I'm paranoid, but I don't know. I mean, I would eventually like to get a van and build it out, and if I do that, then they wouldn't be in storage anymore anyway. Actually, nothing would be in storage because I'd have everything in the van. And anything that wouldn't fit in the van, I'd probably get rid of. Unless it's like a family heirloom or something. But most of my shit that actually was important to me is already gone because it was in my other storage unit. So, doesn't really matter, I guess. But, God, those pillows aren't gone, because, yeah. Yeah, I know, I'm being weird about pillows, whatever. And then, so, with the remaining 3 of the vacuum seal bags, I think one of them I'm gonna put like bulky winter stuff, like my winter coat, and like some more bulky sweatshirts, like the thick ones and stuff. Maybe, I don't know, I might wait a little bit because I've still been sleeping in like my Sherpa lined sweatpants. So once those, I also noticed when I was going through some stuff, my camping stuff outside, I actually have 2 sleeping bags in there, which I completely forgot about. So I might try to wash those. I don't think that they're rated for any type of cold weather at all, but if I double up, it might not be too bad. I don't know. I mean, it's better than nothing, but yeah, I'm not sure about the temperature rating on them, and I'd have to pull them out of the stuff sacks that they're in order to check. And when I opened like the container and looked in, there was like spider webs and stuff, and I was like, I'll deal with that later. Hopefully, and later meant today, but today didn't happen, so hopefully tomorrow. My plan tomorrow is to, oh shoot, I thought I was live streaming on this phone, but I'm live streaming on that one. I was just about to go pay my phone bill. Oops, oh well, guess I'll pay my phone bill later. But yeah, so my plan tomorrow is to get up and then literally empty out my entire car and my trunk, which is gonna suck. I really don't want to, but as I said on my live stream earlier, if I don't do it now while I'm here, while I'm house sitting, I'm gonna have to do it somewhere else. And like, I don't want to do it in my mom's driveway because her neighbors are nosy as hell, and they're nice people, but you know, it's like a older community, so people driving by are like, what's going on over there? You know, there's nothing interesting happens there. So because of that, I don't want to, plus also she doesn't have that much space in her driveway, so and then just doing it in a random parking lot feels weird, because I don't know, random parking lot. So I would rather do it while I'm here, because the backyard parking lot thing here is pretty decently sized, so I'd have space. I'm gonna have to get up kind of early, because I'm gonna have to get up, we're gonna have to pack, take down the air mattress, like pack everything up, and then empty out my car, go through all that shit, put everything back in neatly and better organized, I guess, and then pack the car before I can leave. I don't know. Bunch of crap. I don't feel like doing. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to, enough of my ranting at the moment, complaining. I'm gonna go back to listening to True Crime with Kendall Ray. This is about the Golden State Killer. It's a serial killer. They caught him. But yeah. Anywho, back to that. Yeah, I have some. Oh no, they're gone. Bye. I really wish I could get this stupid green screen to go away, because it's weird when you move, because it's like.
Audible Originals. Audible Originals is exclusive to Audible, so it's content that you can't get anywhere else, and there's so much content for people to listen to. They truly have something for everybody. When you get an audiobook, if you end up not liking it, you can exchange it, no questions asked, and you get to keep your audiobooks forever, even if you cancel your Audible membership, which is awesome. Audible is offering my viewers a free 30-day trial that includes a free audiobook and 2 free Audible Originals. All you gotta do is go to audible.com/Kendall Ray or text Kendall Ray to
I found an audiobook that I didn't like.
Since I've already mentioned
I
I'll
didn't
Be
know I
Gone
could
in the Dark multiple times, it's one of my favorite true crime books of all time, and it's all about the Golden State Killer case. But I also this month wanted to recommend Chase Darkness with Me by Billy Jensen. Billy actually helped finish the book when Michelle passed away. If you didn't know, Michelle McNamara passed away before the Golden State Killer was caught and before the book was done, and so Billy helped her finish it. And this is his book. It's all about his journey in true crime and how he's helped solve and play a big part in multiple cases. It's a really good book. I'm really enjoying it so far, and it's great on Audible. So definitely pick one of those 2 books up today at audible.com/Kendall Ray or by texting Kendall Ray to 500-500. And a big thanks to Audible for sponsoring this video. Now let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so before the Golden State Killer was known as the Golden State Killer, he was actually known as 2 different criminals in 2 different areas. First, this guy was known as the Visalia Ransacker. Starting in April of 1974, there was a series of over 120 burglaries in people's homes in Visalia, California. This went on until December of 1975, and when the Visalia Ransacker was entering people's houses, it was reported that he was going in, rifling through belongings, ransacking their stuff, obviously like vandalizing things, going into the women's underwear drawer, scattering the underwear around the room. And what was so weird about this burglar is that he wouldn't always take the highest valued items in the house. Like sometimes he'd leave some really high-priced items in the house, fancy jewelry and stuff, and he was known for taking like low-value things, like for example, a regular pair of earrings, not a diamond or gold or anything, and he would sometimes just take one of them. So it became clear to investigators that whoever was doing this was kind of in it for some type of thrill. Like they liked going into people's houses. They would take personal belongings that maybe they could save and kind of show off everywhere they've been, or like have it as somewhat of a memento, which a lot of criminals will do this, and the Golden State Killer definitely was one of them. So nothing really violent happened during this time. So at this point, obviously the Golden State Killer really wasn't a killer yet. He was a ransacker, but he was getting a lot of experience breaking and entering into people's homes. But then in 1976, a bunch of rapes actually started happening in Sacramento. And basically what he would do is stand outside, stake women out, and stalk them. Like he would find specific women and just watch them from afar, learn their routines, and then he would break into their houses and rape them. It's really, really scary to talk about. Honestly, I can't imagine how petrified you would be waking up to this. Basically, women reported that when they would wake up out of, just a sound sleep, they would see a man just standing there watching them at the end of their bed. And sometimes he wouldn't even be wearing his clothes. He would normally be holding some type of weapon to scare them. There's cases of him doing this to women who are home alone when their husbands are gone or living alone, or he would just straight up go in there while couples were sleeping, while there was a male at home, which is pretty risky. And the way that he would deal with a couple is he'd actually show up in their room in the middle of the night, have some type of weapon, scare them and tell them, you need to do everything I say to do or I'm going to kill you. He would then have the women tie up their husbands and be really involved in the process, making sure they were tying it the right way, telling them to tie it tighter and stuff. And then he would have the husbands lay down, and then he would put a stack of plates on top of them, and he would tell them, don't move. If I hear these plates jiggle at all, which you know how easy that would be to make the plates jiggle, it would be really hard to stay still as it is. But if I hear anything crazy, I'm going to kill your wife or kill you. And then he would take their wife into the room next door where their husbands can hear totally what's going on. And if they can't hear it, they know what's going on. And he would rape them. I can't imagine how traumatic this would be for both people going through this. I mean, absolutely terrible to be stripped of your masculinity and watch this happen to your wife while you're just helpless laying there, and then also going through the experience of being raped you know, when there's nothing your husband can do to help you in your house. And what is so weird about this guy is he was known for lingering in people's houses. Most of the time when you break and enter into someone's house and commit a rape or something like that, and you leave behind witnesses, you don't want to touch anything. You want to get out of there as quick as possible, you know, touch as little as possible. But this guy would make himself at home. Even after or before he would do things to people, or he would, you know, rape a woman several times in a few hours, and he would take breaks and just go hang out in their house. But he would go into people's houses and make a sandwich. He would, you know, sit outside on their back patio furniture and enjoy the view. He was really into rummaging through people's stuff. Like, he would ransack their house, and I'm sure he was getting so much DNA all over the house. Back then, though, it wasn't too much of a concern for criminals because there's only so much that could be done with DNA back then. Another thing that all of the victims reported is that this man would actually shine a really bright light in their eye when they would first wake up to kind of stun them, which that would do it. He would yell at them not to look at his face.
It has to be the beans. Because, like, the beans are the only thing that's in there that's, like, different than what I normally would put. And they're, like, chili beans, so that's probably why it's spicier than usual. Yeah, that, or maybe I've turned into a little bitch when it comes to spicy stuff. I don't know. Even though I've always liked spicy stuff, but since getting sick in February and then also surgery a couple years ago, my taste buds are not the same. So, but no, I've made this since having surgery, so I'm thinking it's the beans. What's up, puppy? Hey, handsome. Hey, Fishy. Fishy. You're a good boy. Are you handsome? Are you a handsome boy? Yeah. You're a good boy. Oh, my nose is itchy out. Did I take my meds today? Yeah. I always have to make sure I take my allergy meds, especially with him. Because you're nosy too. He's such a good boy. I need to put that food away. Excuse me. And then I gotta do tissues. Maybe if I switch the candle. Nope. I was thinking maybe if I switch the camera and then switch it back, like the green screen would go away. But if I switch it to like away the other side, like it's all just green screen. What the hell? So weird. I don't know how to make the green screen go away. Anyway.
They ever tried to make eye contact with them, he would say, "Don't look at me, don't look at me." And he also would wear a ski mask. Everyone reported he would wear a ski mask, so this was kind of his thing. And so no one really had a good description of what his face looked like. But based on what the victims were saying, police believed that he was about 6 feet tall, had blondish brown hair, and that he was a white guy. He was described as being slender, in pretty good shape. And one other thing that all of the victims reported is that this guy, he had a small weenie. So, I mean,
imagine that.
there could be some
Be a
motive
serial killer
behind
known
that.
for a
You know,
small
maybe he
dick.
had some insecurity issues that was causing him to want to attack women. And another really weird thing about this guy is not only would he linger in people's homes, but sometimes he would actually stalk them to the point where he would.
I wonder if he was really small, or if he would just, if the victims would just say he's small just to piss him off even more because he violated them. I wonder. He probably really was small though. But I'm just saying, like, it'd be even funnier if they were like, "Yeah, he was really tiny. Didn't even feel it at all." That's terrible. Shouldn't be joking about rape.
Break and enter into their home without them knowing, like at times where they weren't home, and he would stash supplies that he might need. He'd plan it out for a really long time. Sometimes he would, you know, leave, or sometimes he would actually just stay in the house and hide until they came home and then attack.
That's crazy.
And it was very clear to law enforcement that this guy was pretty tactical, that he knew what he was doing and knew how to not get caught. And he was enjoying this. This was something
sponge.
brought him some type of thrill. He would even harass his victims after he had already attacked them by calling
that's
them
hot.
and talking so creepy. Okay, I'm just gonna play it for you guys. Is that not the creepiest thing? Like, if I got a phone call like that, I would go to the police right away. And the Sacramento community was so freaked out, especially women in the community. So police started hosting these town hall meetings for everyone who was concerned about what was going on, where they could get together and kind of brainstorm and talk about it. And shortly after they started these town hall meetings, police actually got a call from a man who said, "I'm going to strike tonight, Watt Avenue." So that night, police went to the area of Watt Avenue to look for him, and they were patrolling around until they saw this guy wearing a ski mask cross over the Watt Avenue bridge. But he was too fast for them. He rode away before they were able to catch him, and this is around the time that the police started calling him the East Area Rapist.
A teenage girl was raped today in her home in Contra Costa County, and though officials are not saying it was the work of the East Area Rapist, they do say the crime was committed in his style. Betty-Ann Bruno has more.
Law enforcement officials from every police agency in Contra Costa County tonight are looking for the man who raped a 13-year-old Walnut Creek girl early this morning. The young victim was attacked in her Rancho San Miguel home. Police say she described her attacker as a white male, 6 feet tall, weighing 185 pounds.
Was wearing some type of a mask or a hood. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He apparently was in the residence for approximately 45 minutes. We don't know how he gained entry. She was bound. He raped her. He didn't bother anyone else in the residence, and the young girl's father and older sister were inside the residence at the time, were unaware of the attack.
Johnson said her assailant may be the East Area Rapist, who is suspected of committing at least 4 other rapes in the same area, or he may be an imitator. Police are urging everyone in the Concord, Walnut Creek, and San Ramon area to be on the lookout and to report strangers in their neighborhoods who seem to be just hanging around or displaying any other suspicious behavior. This is Betty-Ann Bruno in Walnut Creek for the 10 o'clock news.
But then in 1978, he started not only committing rapes, but he started also committing murders. A couple named Brian and Kate were walking their dog in their neighborhood, perfectly normal night and everything, and then someone came up behind them. It was a man who was wearing a ski mask and holding a gun. He ended up chasing them into a neighbor's backyard, but in the past when he had attacked couples, the man would normally cooperate because they're scared and they're in their bed, but they were outside, and Brian decided to fight back. And the East Area Rapist was not prepared for this at all, freaked out, and realized that the only way that he was going to get away was if he killed them. So he ended up shooting them both because he knew he couldn't fight back. And these are known as his first murders. So people in the Sacramento area were super freaked out at the time. Everyone was on high alert. They couldn't believe how many people were experiencing this. And one thing that the Golden State Killer did a lot was change up the area where he was committing his crimes. So in 1979, when he was still known as the East Area Rapist, he started moving down into the southern areas of California. And this is when he started his period as the original Night Stalker. His third and fourth killings happened on December 30th, 1979. He entered Robert Offerman and Deborah Manning's house. He got into the house by going through the sliding glass door, and the two of them...
It sucks, because if you turn the sprayer on, then it like sprays everywhere and it like splashes back from the pan and everything. But if you don't have the sprayer on, it's not enough pressure and it doesn't actually like rinse your stuff. It's so frustrating. Again, I can't get this like green screen to go away. I don't know how. I push the button and it tells me, oh, upload a video, upload a photo to blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, it is a photo. I'm trying to get rid of it. Anyway, yeah. So, sounds like Shadow's water's low. But yeah, anyway, so we're listening to True Crime with Kendall Ray. It's about the Golden State Killer, who's a serial killer. I had just cooked. I made food. I ate. I'm full. So I am in the process of cleaning up now. Again, I would turn the camera so you could see me. However, due to the fact that I'm not like right up to the camera, unfortunately, you're just gonna see the green screen. Stupid thing that I can't get rid of. I even tried like switching the camera to like the back camera and then switching back to the front camera, and that didn't work. So I'm not sure how to make it go away and make it go back to normal. If you know, let me know so that way I can fix it. But until then, I'm going to turn this podcast back on, do some dishes, and I'll be back. Hopefully YouTube doesn't just randomly cut my live like it does sometimes. But in the meantime, if you want to put in chats or whatever, I will reply when I get back. Well, not back, but when I peek over, because I'll be literally like right there at the sink. So anyway.
Or just sleeping in their bed at the time, you know, completely not suspecting this. That's the last thing you're expecting when you're safe in your bed in your house, you know? And I don't want to get into too many details, but he, you know, tied them up, raped the woman, and then killed them both. March 13th, 1980, so quite a little bit later, the 5th and 6th murders happened. This time the victims were Charlene and Lyman Smith in Ventura. He did the same thing as he did to the people before, however, he actually killed these people with a log from the fireplace. He beat them to death with a log. So savage. So one thing that the police started to notice with all these crimes is whoever was doing this, the original Night Stalker, as they were calling this person at the time, definitely had some type of knowledge when it came to knots. I mean, maybe he was an Eagle Scout or something, or maybe he had some involvement with the military and or the police. The knots that he was using were really advanced, and they looked like someone who had some type of experience. People even called him the Diamond Knot Killer for a little while because a lot of his knots would look kind of like diamonds, so he had tons of different names. But they were starting to think that maybe this person had some background in possibly even police.
At first, Los Angeles police thought that the murder of a young woman last March was an isolated act of violence, but since then they've come to believe it was connected to a wide-ranging series of assaults by a killer who's become known as the Night Stalker, a killer who apparently struck again during the weekend.
Police today continue to search for any clues in the near-fatal shooting of 29-year-old William Carnes and the rape of his girlfriend. They're apparently the latest victims of the Night Stalker, thought to be responsible now for 34 brutal attacks, 14 of them fatal. These serial killings, once confined to the near Los Angeles area, are now spread over 500 miles from San Francisco to Orange County.
This community in jeopardy because it impedes our ability to go forward fully with the investigation.
A total of $35,000 in rewards has been offered, including today a $16 donation from this group of concerned school children. Today, the search for California's Night Stalker continues, and many residents sleep with their doors and windows bolted tight, despite 100-degree temperatures. Then in August of 1980, he ended up killing another couple. They were a younger couple named Keith and Patrice Harrington, and this happened in Orange County. Then on February 6, 1981, Manula Rithun was also murdered by the original Night Stalker in her home. On Monday, July 27th of 1981, he killed Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez in their home, and then on Sunday, May 4th, 1986, he killed Janelle Cruz. She had an incredibly sad life. Her death was so tragic, and it was actually the last known murder of the original Night Stalker or the Golden State Killer. And after this, the case goes cold. There was no other activity from the Golden State Killer. So at this time, they have not connected that the original Night Stalker, the East Area Rapist, and the Visalia Ransacker were all the same person. And they went for years before they were able to connect the dots. But then finally in 2001, when DNA technology was starting to get a little better, they actually figured out that the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker were indeed the same person. So this is when Michelle McNamara comes into play. I mentioned her at the beginning of the video. Michelle was extremely obsessed with this case. Very, very into trying to figure out who this person was and help all all of these victims. And she ended up being a huge part in this case. In fact, she was the one who gave him the name Golden State Killer. In 2013, she wrote an article in LA Magazine about it. And the article that she wrote actually did so well that she got picked up for a book deal. So she started working on the book, and she worked on it for years. She was super, super into it. It was a passion project for her. And the writing in the book is incredible. She's a really good writer. Just the way that she words things totally paints a picture for you. You know, for something that none of us were actually there to witness, she really somehow captures what it must have been like to be those victims. It's amazing. It's very well done. And she was actually almost done writing the book when she suddenly passed away on April 21st of 2016, and it was really, really devastating. She was 46 years old at the time. She passed away in her sleep, and they ended up finding Adderall, Xanax, and fentanyl in her system. So I think working on this project was, you know, very intense for her. When Michelle passed away, her husband, Patton Oswalt, who's a comedian, really, really awesome, super nice guy, and he wanted to finish the book. So he ended up working with Paul Haynes and Billy Jensen, and they worked together with Patton to finish the end of the book. So in February of 2018, the book was published, and it was on the New York Times bestseller list for 15 consecutive weeks. And I have to say, it is in my top 3 true crime books for sure. And the book itself didn't really come out with anything necessarily groundbreaking for the case. It did, you know, ignite a ton of public interest in the case and helped propel them to have more resources to solve it.
It's a brilliantly written book that is, sometimes it's almost too brilliantly written because it's really scary.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I've had friends read it and say, I read a few chapters and then we went over our security measures in our house.
Yes.
We looked at what do we have on the doors and windows, wait a minute, you know, so.
Listen, I started listening to it when it dropped on Audible last night.
Yes.
And I have to tell you that as I was listening to it, I was thinking, I do want to check the doors.
Yeah,
because you suddenly realize, you know, you get lax because you're not thinking about this kind of stuff.
On June 15th, 2016, the FBI released a new composite sketch and a $50,000 reward. So obviously as time has gone on since, you know, the 70s when this all started, DNA testing has gotten insanely good. So good that it's like a household thing for people. It's in the hands of consumers. A lot of people have taken tests with Ancestry or 23andMe, you know, one of those companies, and gotten your DNA results. And there's actually a public DNA database now called GEDmatch. So detectives ended up uploading the Golden State Killer's DNA from a rape kit back from Ventura County a long time ago. They still had it on file, so they uploaded it to GEDmatch in the beginning of 2018. And the website actually found 10 to 20 different people who were matches for possible descendants of the Golden State Killer.
In January of this year, Holes uploads the crime scene DNA and starts finding people who may be related to the killer.
Now, I'm talking, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th cousins, very distantly related, but it gives us a starting point.
Holes and other investigators pore over the results, working with a genetic genealogist, using obituaries, gravesite locators, census records, and DNA databases to build a family tree for the killer. Then they look for people believed to be about the same age as the suspect, with ties to California.
And they kept narrowing it down, and they came down to 2 suspects. And one of them actually ended up being ruled out because they did a DNA test of a close relative. They figured out it was not him. So this left 1 suspect, Joseph James DeAngelo. So the next step was to track down Joseph DeAngelo and get his DNA to confirm that he actually was the Golden State Killer. So they watched him for days, waiting for him to throw something out. And they ended up being able to swipe his door handle for his DNA from his hand. And then they also were able to take a tissue that he had freshly blown his nose or something and thrown it in his trash can outside of his house. They grabbed it literally out of his trash, tested it, and guess what? It matched the exact DNA that was at the crime scene. I actually really want to get your opinions on this. Do you guys think that this is ethical? Because there is so much controversy over them pulling his DNA out of GEDmatch and taking out of his trash. Is this a major invasion of privacy? Should they be allowed to do this? There's been so much debate over this that I'm really curious what you guys think. Because me personally, I think that, you know, you really should.
Well, let me tell you what I think.
When you have committed all of these.
What I think is, honestly, if they were comparing it to if they're getting the results from like Ancestry, or if they're getting the results from like 23andMe or like one of the other companies that have like very strict privacy policies, I would think that's very wrong. However, with GEDmatch and like I think it's Family Tree DNA is the other one that has like the police have access to. I know GEDmatch for sure because I mean, well, obviously she just said that, but I also knew that previously anyway. But like, in order to get your in order to get your DNA onto GEDmatch, you have to do one of the other companies. I don't think GEDmatch has their own DNA test. So I think you have to do your DNA on like Ancestry or 23andMe or Family Tree DNA or whatever. Actually, I don't know if you were allowed to download your DNA from 23andMe, from Family Tree DNA. Either way, I know for sure Ancestry and 23andMe, you can download your DNA from there and then you can upload it to GEDmatch. And if you upload it to GEDmatch, then you can find more matches to you, and it'll also give you percentages and stuff, but you can also find more matches for your like family. However, like, because you uploaded your DNA to that, then like, you know what I mean? But the thing is, like, if the police were using like 23andMe or Ancestry, like, I'm not sure exactly how 23andMe's like privacy policy is, but I know Ancestry's is pretty solid, and like they actually have an accountability thing on Ancestry where like you can actually go and look and see how many times the police have requested to view their DNA results. You can see how many times they've complied with police, and they show you like by segments per, like by certain like month to month or whatever segments. So you can actually go and view that on Ancestry's website. So me personally, if they were doing it through Ancestry or things like that, I'd be pissed off about it. But GEDmatch, you upload your own DNA results. Like if I uploaded, like me knowing that the police have access to the DNA results on GEDmatch, me personally, I have not uploaded my DNA results. Not that I'm afraid that I'm going to get like caught by the police for something, because I've never done anything wrong. I mean, like, I've never like done anything that my DNA is going to count for. So like, you know what I mean? I'm not worried about that. It's just, I don't know, the fact that it's the principle of the fact that the police can access it kind of weirds me out, or like anybody can. However, like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, because of the fact that like clearly like this, like they were able to find out who the killer was because of that, because some family member uploaded the DNA and then the police uploaded the DNA from the crime scenes or from the rape kit and then was able to find out who it was. So like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. However, like for GEDmatch specifically, again, like if the police were uploading like DNA to Ancestry to do it, yeah, I'd be kind of pissed off about it. But to GEDmatch, I don't really care. I was going to upload my Ancestry DNA to Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch. I was originally planning on doing that, but then when I found out about the fact that the police have access to it, it kind of made me like, do I really want to do that? Not that I think anyone in my family or anything is like a murder, which I'm assuming they didn't think so either, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just, I have mixed feelings about it, I guess you could say. I mean, again, I'm not against it, but I am like, I don't really know if I want the police having free and easy access to my DNA. Not that I've gone and done anything that would warrant me to be nervous about it or anything, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea though. I guess the honest answer would be I have mixed feelings. I'm waiting for this to cool off more, and then I'm going to stick in the fridge. I also wanted to put a label with the date on it. And then this I'm probably going to either put in the trash or down the toilet. I'm not sure. Because if I hadn't put the sour cream in there, I would have just dumped it in with the rest of it. But because I put the sour cream in it, I don't want to do that because it's like stuff with sour cream and stuff without. Anyway, back to the Golden State Killer. Back to True Crime with Kendall Ray, aka Golden State Killer episode.
Crimes. So on April 24th, 2018, they arrested Joseph DeAngelo and he was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. Then on May 10th, the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office actually charged him with 4 more counts of murder. And unfortunately, there was actually no DNA to
Why did I think that the Golden State Killer and the Zodiac Killer were the same thing? I don't know why. But for the longest time, I thought that they were the same thing.
tie him to the Visalia ransacker case, all of the burglaries, but police said that they're pretty confident that they have their guy. They unfortunately can't charge him with any of the rapes or burglaries because the statute of limitations has expired, which this type of stuff annoys me so fucking much. But law enforcement is still definitely coming on him as hard as possible. He's been charged with 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. It's estimated that he committed at least 50 rapes in California and over 100 burglaries. Joseph was arraigned in Sacramento on August 23rd, 2018, and he had been living a very normal life. So let's look at his past for a little bit. So Joseph was actually born in New York and moved to California when he was young. In 1964, he joined the U.S. Navy, and he actually served for 2 years during Vietnam. After he got out of the Navy, he went to Sierra College and graduated with an associate's degree in police science. He was known as a
And they thought maybe he's military. He joined them. Yep.
living a very normal life. So let's look at his past for a little bit. So Joseph was actually born in New York and moved to California when he was young. In 1964, he joined the U.S. Navy, and he actually
Navy would know not. Just saying.
served for 2 years during Vietnam. After he got out of the Navy, he went to Sierra College and graduated with an associate's degree in police science. He was known as a really smart and good student, and he actually ended up graduating with honors. In 1971, he attended Sacramento State University and earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. From May 1973 to August 1976, he actually was a burglary unit police officer, which is insane. So they were right that he had experience in military and police. He was also a police officer in Auburn County, California from August 1976 to July of 1979. But his career in law enforcement actually came to an end in 1979 because he got caught stealing a hammer and some dog repellent from his police station. And instead of, trying to prove himself innocent, he just admitted to it and was like, okay, I'll quit. And that was it. He was done with the police. He probably didn't want them probing into him more and saying, why are you taking these things? Not only was he fired from his job at the time, but he was also sentenced to 6 months of probation. Around this time in 1980, he actually got married. He married a woman named Sharon Marie Huddle, and they ended up purchasing a house in Citrus Heights, California, where he eventually was arrested. He and his wife ended up separating in 1991, actually, and he actually worked for most of his life as a truck mechanic at Save Mart Supermarkets Distribution Center, and he ended up retiring in 2017, only to be arrested a year later. And one really interesting thing is his brother-in-law actually said that he would often bring up the East Area Rapist over the years. He would just bring it up, try to figure out who it was and everything. So he was totally into the fact that everyone was trying to figure it out and they had a name for him.
Bring it up and try to figure it out. He is him. What the Oh boy.
And everything. I mean, he thought he was like the bad Batman. When they caught him, he was living with his daughter and his granddaughter, and he was living a really normal life. Although he did have some sketchy moments with people, and he was kind of known as a grumpy old man for sure. He was a regular at this restaurant where they called him Mr. Happy, and he totally creeped on one of the waitresses there. Multiple neighbors said that they witnessed him having loud outbursts outside, just yelling at nothing. And one neighbor actually received a phone message that said that was from Joseph, saying that he would deliver a load of death onto them because of their barking dogs. So he wasn't too neighborly. So as of now, the Golden State Killer is in jail awaiting his trial. It's going to be a long trial. They are estimating it could last up to even 10 years. So he may not even live to see the end of his trial. Not only that, but it could cost taxpayers $20 million to try him. It's unreal. On April 10th, prosecutors said that they are going to be seeking the death penalty, which was pretty much a given, and they are going to allow cameras in the courtrooms during this, so you can actually follow the trial and watch it live if you've always wanted to do that. And in April 2018, HBO actually...
Did y'all hear about how the dude in, what was it, somewhere down south? I want to say it was like South Carolina or North Carolina. Maybe it was Georgia. I don't remember. But they had, the person was recently sentenced to death by firing squad. I was like, what? I mean, if I had my options between firing squad, lethal injection, and like electric chair, I think I don't know. I think I'd probably choose lethal injection personally, but maybe firing squad. Electric chair just doesn't sound fun to me. Not that it's supposed to be fun, but like out of the three ways, I think electric chair, out of those three options, whether it's firing squad, electric chair, or lethal injection, I think electric chair would be my least favored option, personally.
They purchased rights to the book.
Do they even let you choose? Like, do you get to choose how you get executed, or do they decide for you? I wonder.
The I'll Be Gone in the Dark book, and they are going to be making a documentary series out of the whole thing eventually. Honestly, this was a very skimmed over version of this story. There's so much more detail, so if you were interested in this story, it's very long and there's so many more details that are really interesting. I really recommend checking out those two books that I mentioned. The link for your free Audible trial is in the description below. Check it out, listen to the books, they are awesome. And let me know if you guys would like to see more serial killer content on my channel. But that's it for me today, guys. I hope you're having a great day. Stay safe out there, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. To my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you a really wild story out of Canada. This is a, lesser known case, so a lot of you probably haven't heard of it, but get ready, it is one of the craziest ones out there. As I was reading about this case, I could not believe how this all unfolded. It's a very interesting story. Today I'm going to be telling you about the Pan family. So this is Bick and Han Pan. So Han was born in Vietnam and he grew up there, but in 1979 he actually moved to Canada as a refugee. And a very similar story with his wife Bick Pan. She also was born
I can't figure out how to get the green screen to go away.
As a refugee. So the two of them ended up getting together. They got married in Toronto and they ended up settling down in Scarborough, Canada. And then in 1986 they had their first daughter and they named her Jennifer. And then in 1989 they had their second child and they named him Felix. So the Pans worked at an auto parts manufacturer called Magna International in Aurora, Ontario. Han worked as a tool and die maker, and then Bick actually made car parts. This couple worked very hard for their money. They were, immigrants, and they took every opportunity they could and worked as hard as they could. They wanted to make sure that their kids had opportunities that they never even had when they were younger, so they were all about working hard. They were both very thrifty people and good savers, so eventually they ended up saving enough money to buy a really nice house. In 2004, they purchased their house, and they were super excited because this was something they had always wanted for their family. It was definitely their end goal. Their dream was to be able to afford a nice house for their family to grow up in. The house was in a residential area called Markham. They were also able to afford really nice cars. They were really living the dream. Bick was driving a Lexus, and Han was driving a Mercedes, so they were doing really well. They felt like they had settled into a great neighborhood, and they were super excited about their future. Everything was going very well for the Pan family. Now, probably the most
looks
important
so
thing for you to
disappointed.
know about this family, though, is they were very, very
Shadow
strict
comes
parents.
running
They
anytime
are
he
what
hears
some
something
people
open.
refer to as tiger parents, and it's a Asian
That's
style
all.
of parenting that is
Super.
very strict, known to have, very little leeway, and oftentimes the parents are extremely controlling of their kids. It can be a ton of pressure to grow up in a home with really strict parents who have extremely high expectations of you, and that's exactly how the Pans were. They had hugely high expectations of their kids. They wanted them to really excel, take every opportunity that they could get them, and just do even better than they had done. Jennifer and Felix were thought to be very well-behaved kids. Felix was studying mechanical engineering and was at a very prestigious university. And he basically did this because Han wanted him to go to school for engineering so that he could work on cars and be part of what their family does. But he wanted him to be able to design the cars, which is a whole different ballgame. Jennifer was also seen as a very impressive student. She also had a lot going on in her extracurricular life. She started playing piano when she was only 4 years old. She also played flute in the school band. She did figure skating. She was actually super into the figure skating thing. She wanted to become an Olympic athlete, so she spent a ton of her time training, which is a very stressful world as well. However, she ended up tearing her ligament in her knee, and it was a really bad injury, so bad that she ended up quitting figure skating altogether, and that dream was completely squashed. Jennifer was also thought to be a very good student, but turns out Jennifer was kind of hiding a lot of things from her parents, and her school was actually one of them. Even though her parents put a ton of pressure on her to get good grades, she kind of averaged around, the C 70-ish range, and definitely wasn't getting straight A's. The only thing she was doing really well in was music. She really thrived in music and absolutely loved it. But her parents expected her to have straight A's. There was no choice for her. So she actually ended up forging report cards, literally faking her grades on it and convincing her parents that she was actually getting straight A's when she was a pretty average student. Have any of you guys ever forged a report card? I'm dying to know. I feel like that's
No,
pretty
my parents would have
savage.
murdered me.
At the time, Jennifer was attending Mary
I
Ward
did not want
Catholic
to get dead.
and she actually ended up having to leave the school because her behavior and grades were bad and transfer to a different school. And her parents knew that she, moved school and everything, and they were so strict. They picked her up every single day to watch her basically like a hawk. They get her in the car, take her straight home, monitor all her extracurricular activities, make sure she wasn't just doing whatever as a teenager, as most of us did as teenagers. They had a serious issue when it came to boys. They were absolutely terrified of Jennifer getting distracted from her studies by boys, and they wouldn't let her even have friends that were boys, really. They didn't want boys around their daughter, period. So she was definitely not allowed to go on, dates or anything like that. In fact, she wasn't even allowed to go to the school dances, which, I would have been so angry about that as a teenager. That was such an important thing to me back then, although now thinking of going to a high school dance makes me want to die inside. But back then, I would have freaked out if my parents told me I couldn't go, or they didn't want me around any boys. You'd feel so restricted, especially seeing everyone else live, a somewhat normal life.
Oh my God, you are so noisy. I don't have anything for you.
And I'm sure many of you out there have had or have really strict parents, and you know what it's like, and maybe you can relate to how Jennifer was feeling. She was really starting to feel trapped, like she was a prisoner in her own family. And not only that, she was faking tons of things in her life, literally forging stuff, and that's a lot of pressure to be keeping up a whole fake persona. Despite their best efforts, though, to keep her from dating, she ended up meeting another boy named Daniel Wong in 11th grade. He was a year older than her in school and was described as goofy and really social. He played the trumpet in the school band, so they, connected on that. They were both in the band. And in 2003, they ended up going on a school field trip together. And it was a big field trip. It was all the way to Europe. When they were in Europe, they performed at this concert hall. And according to Jennifer, there was a ton of smoke in the concert hall from smokers. And this really raged up her asthma. And she was panicking over it, feeling like she was going to have a panic attack, felt like she couldn't breathe. And Daniel was really there for her, really calmed her down, helped, ground her. And she felt like he didn't have to do that. He didn't owe her anything. And she said that it literally saved her life. So now she is really into Daniel. She felt like he saved her life. He really cared for her in that moment, and so she really was head over heels into him. So that summer, they started dating, and they were having a good summer together, although this had to be completely secret behind her parents' back. So Jennifer had actually received early admission into Ryerson University. However, Jennifer had actually failed one of her calculus classes back in high school her senior year, so they ended up revoking her early admission. But Jennifer did not want her parents to know what was going on, so she hid this from them. She told everyone in her life that she was still going to go to this school, including her parents. This is when she created a fake acceptance letter and gave it to her parents, which I am shocked that they really fell for that. I mean, she must have been pretty good at faking stuff, probably had been doing it her whole life. And it turns out that Jennifer never even graduated high school. She wasn't able to walk, she wasn't able to finish, and so she lied to her parents. So Han Pan wanted Jennifer to become a doctor, but he figured out after a little while getting to know his daughter more as a person, you know, you can't actually just make people what you want them to be. He figured out that it wasn't such a good route for her because it made her like sick, you know, it grossed her out to like work on bodies and stuff. She didn't have the stomach for it. So he decides that she needs to still be in medical though, gotta stay in what he wants kind of, so he settles for pharmacology. He tells Jennifer that she should become a pharmacologist, and she agrees. She told her parents that her plan was to attend Ryerson University. You know, they're still under the impression that she graduated and stuff. So she told them she's going to go there for 2 years, and then she's going to transfer to the University of Toronto and get in their pharmacology program. Now, a lot of people would say, well, how did the parents think that she was going to a college where they weren't paying any bills? Well, Jennifer actually told them that she was going on all scholarship money and grants and everything, and that they didn't need to pay a dime. She could take care of it all on her own, and her dad wasn't even involved in bills. To seem legit to her parents, she ended up purchasing textbooks and watching different documentaries and taking notes, real notes, to show her parents as if she was prepping for school. And while she was in college, Jennifer was not allowed to do any of the normal things that teenagers or, you know, college students do, like go to parties and hang out with friends, drinking. Jennifer never got to experience that. At the time, Jennifer was teaching piano lessons on the side and also working at a restaurant to make extra money and fund her life. And eventually she went to the school. And 2 years went by of her parents thinking that she was in Ryerson University. After 2 years went by, her dad asked if she was planning to go to Toronto University to finish out her degree. And she said yes, and that she was accepted, and that was the next plan. So at this time, Jennifer suggested that maybe she should move out of her parents' house in with a friend. She had a friend named Topez who lived a little closer to University of Toronto. She thought that commuting back and forth downtown to her house would be a lot to handle, and she convinced her parents that it was a good idea for her to move in with someone else, and they were fine with this. However, she wasn't staying with Topez. Imagine that. During the week when she was going to college, she actually was staying at her friend Daniel's house. She lied to Daniel's parents, said that her parents were fine with her staying there and they were cool with it. So there you go. She was perfectly set up, and her parents again thought she was staying with a female friend. So another 2 years went by of her parents believing that she's still in school. They now think that she's been in school for 4 years, and it was about time for her to graduate from University of Toronto. So Daniel and her ended up finding someone online to help forge a fake transcript full of A's. Jennifer told her parents that they had an abnormally large class size at the University of Toronto, so they were only giving out 1 ticket per student for graduation, and she didn't want to make either of her parents feel bad, so she told them that she ended up giving it to a friend. So she told her parents that after she was done there, she was actually planning on volunteering at a blood testing lab called Sick Kids. And conveniently, she told her parents that she would have to work late night shifts and during the weekend. So she convinced her parents that she should probably start spending most of her time at Topez's house. However, her parents noticed that she did not have a uniform or a key card for Sick Kids. So one day, Jennifer's parents said that they wanted to bring her to the hospital and drop her off themselves and see what was going on. So, you know, she's shitting her pants at this point. She gets in the car with them, they drive over to the hospital, and she basically just gets out and books it inside. And her parents went in after her, like they were trying to see where she was working, you know, they were really up her ass. So they actually went in there looking for her, and she literally hid out for a long time in the emergency room, just hiding somewhere until she could leave, and her parents, you know, had cleared the area. Her parents were starting to catch on though. They felt like she was acting very strange, and they were worried that they were being duped. So the following day they called Topez, and they asked her where Jennifer was. was, and Topaz said that she was not there. So this is when they became very concerned. So later on, she came home, and they ended up really putting her on the spot, questioning her, and eventually she confessed that she didn't actually work at Sick Kids and she had made it all up. She also started to tell them that she did not go to the University of Toronto, that she instead was living with Daniel instead of Topaz, which really pissed them off. But she decided to keep them under the impression that she graduated high school and went to Ryerson University before University of Toronto. So she kind of half told them everything. Her mom and dad were very pissed off, to say the least. They really brought down the hammer on her. They took away her cell phone and her laptop. They wanted to cut off her connection with the outside world and also make her stop talking to Daniel completely. They literally made her quit her job at the restaurant. She was only allowed to teach piano, and they really put the clamp down on her. They started tracking her mileage in her car, literally adding up to make sure that she wasn't going anywhere that she wasn't supposed to be. Jennifer was absolutely miserable.
If she's legally an adult, why didn't she just leave?
In February of 2009, she posted on her Facebook that living in her house was like being on house arrest. And even though she was only supposed to leave her house to go teach piano, she still would try to go see Daniel every chance she could. One night she even pulled the old-fashioned trick of putting blankets and pillows underneath her bed where she would be sleeping and set it up like she was in her bed sleeping when she actually went over to Daniel's house. But of course, the next morning, her mom went in her room, pulled back the blankets, and saw that she wasn't there. And they were really pissed about that as well. They again tried to clamp down on her. They wanted her to stop having any contact with Daniel. They wanted her to also start applying for colleges again and try to become like a lab tech or something like that. Her dad gave her the ultimate.
Why did they dislike Daniel so much? What's wrong with Daniel? Or is it just because, I don't know, they're crazy, apparently.
Of going to school or being.
I mean, she's a liar too, but like, I don't know. If my parent, well, if your parents are that, like, strict and crazy, I mean, I don't know about lying to the extent what she did, but I'm pretty sure this is the one where she ends up killing her parents, but sorry for the spoiler alert.
Kicked out. And he also told her that there is no way for you to see Daniel at all, which was heartbreaking to her. I mean, she really loved this guy. Or, you know, teenage love. She loved him, though. For her, she loved him. And her dad said no more seeing Daniel, which really enraged her. And he even said to her, if you want to see him, you're going to have to wait until I'm dead. Now, Daniel, on the other hand, was actually getting really tired of Jennifer. He said that she came with a lot of drama, that he was sick of her always making excuses of why they couldn't be together, why she couldn't see him. He knew that her parents were really strict. So he'd ended up deciding to end things, which was horrible for Jennifer. She went completely off the deep end. She was so upset because she felt like everything was out of her control and her parents were causing her to lose someone that she really cared about. And it wasn't long before she found out that he ended up moving on pretty quick and started dating a girl named Christine, which made her even more angry. She ended up being really, really jealous, and so she devised a plan to tell Daniel that 3 men randomly came into her house and attacked her. And then she said that a few days later, she received a bullet in the mail, and she told Daniel that this was his new girlfriend, Christine, trying to threaten her to stay away from her man. So Jennifer was going a little bit off the deep end here. So then in spring of 2010, Jennifer ended up reconnecting with this guy that she used to be friends with when she was younger named Andrew. At one point, Andrew told her in confidence that he had at one point considered possibly killing his father. But Jennifer says that this sparked an idea for her. Life would be a lot better for her if her tiger parents weren't around, if she didn't have her dad standing in the way of her and Daniel's relationship or everything else that she wanted, and wouldn't be forced to be anything that she was not. And so getting rid of him started to seem pretty appealing to her. So Andrew ended up introducing Jennifer to his friend named Ricardo Duncan. And according to Jennifer, they ended up making a plan for him to kill her father in the parking lot of his work. She ended up giving Duncan only $1,500 from like piano lesson money and told him to do it. However, Duncan ended up taking her money and not doing anything. $1,500 is really not a lot, and I don't feel like many people would do that. So she eventually realized that she was being ripped off and, you know, gave up on Duncan.
Not that I would murder anybody, anything, anyway, but I especially wouldn't do it for $1,500. What the hell?
So he claimed.
What's wrong with her to think that somebody would actually like take the risk of doing that for the low amount of $1,500? Like, I mean, again, like I don't think anybody should be murdering people anyway. But I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to hire somebody to do that, you should expect them to want more than $1,500. Hello, how are you? I can't read that. I'm sorry. I don't know what it says.
That he told her no, and that she gave him.
Oh, again, this is True Crime with Kendall Ray. This is the episode how Jennifer Pan's fake life went horribly wrong. That episode.
A couple $100 that she already owed him. So she eventually realized that she was being ripped off and, gave up on Duncan. So he claims that he told her no and that she gave him a couple $100 that she already owed him for something else, but it had nothing to do with him being paid to take out her father. So fast forward a little bit in time, and Jennifer ends up...
What? She go to the cops and complain that he stole her money? She seems stupid enough to do that.
Back together with Daniel, kind of. They're talking again, dating again, and they end up coming up with a plan to take care of Jennifer's dad, because now this is in her brain. But this time, they wanted to take
Daniel joined in. She brought him
So
down
they came up
with
with this big elaborate scheme to hire hitmen to come in and kill both of her parents. And the plan was that she would get the money from their estate, which would be about $500,000, and the two of them would take that money and ride off into the sunset together. So Daniel ended up giving Jennifer an iPhone to use as her burner phone to have crime-related communication on, and then she also had a Samsung that her parents paid for and everything, that she did everything else on. Daniel ended up connecting Jennifer with an acquaintance of his named Leonard Crawford, and he was nicknamed Homeboy. Now, he said that he normally charged about $20,000 for this type of task. However, he was going to give them a friends and family discount, so it was only going to be $10,000 to take out her parents. And Jennifer was like, sounds good to me. So the three of them decide that November 8th is going to be the day that he does it. Lenford said that his friend David was also going to help out. So eventually November 8th, 2010 came along. That night was a pretty normal evening. Jennifer was watching TV in her bedroom. Han was reading the Vietnamese newspaper, and eventually around 8:30 p.m. he had gone to bed. Now Bic was actually out dancing. She was into line dancing, so she was out doing that with a friend, and she came home around 9:30, went upstairs to change into her pajamas, and went into the living room to watch TV. At 9:35, David called Jennifer. They spoke for a couple minutes, and then the call ends. Around this time, Jennifer walks downstairs, goes in and says goodnight to her mom while she's watching TV, and then she went to the front door and secretly unlocks it. Then at 10:02 p.m., the switch in the study went on and off, like the light switch, and this was apparently a signal for the intruders to come into the house. A couple minutes later, at 10:05, David and Jennifer were on the phone again for a few minutes. They also sent a few texts back and forth. One of them was Jennifer saying VIP access, which I assume means, you have access to my home now. So there was also a third hitman who ended up joining in, and his name was Eric Carley. So Lenford, David, and Eric all walked through the Pan family front door. One of them ran upstairs to get Han, brought him down, and then Eric went upstairs to get Jennifer. Jennifer told police that she was just sitting in her room and that she heard footsteps from people that she didn't know. According to Jennifer, he then made her go around the house and get any money that she had. She handed them $2,500, which is what she made in piano lessons, and another $1,100 that was hidden in her mother's nightstand. After this, Jennifer says they took her back upstairs and tied her to a banister. Apparently they tied up her arm, but also tied her hands behind her back, and they used a shoelace to do this. Apparently at this time, Jennifer's parents were totally confused and begging the intruders not to hurt their daughter Jennifer, and they basically hinted to them that they wouldn't do that she is going to be fine. So they took her parents downstairs and they shot them both. So this is when Jennifer ends up calling 911.
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
So it is broken?
So I'm broken and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
Does it sound like gunshots?
I don't know. I couldn't shut it down. I just heard a pop. My dad just went outside screaming.
Do you think your mom is downstairs too?
I don't hear her anymore. I don't know what's happening.
in the phone call that someone starts screaming, and this is Han, and he is not dead. He had, come to and realized that his wife was next to him and was screaming. He was able to crawl upstairs to the main floor of the house and was just frantically screaming. Like you can hear it in the call. He runs out of the house. And this is where one of his neighbors saw him, who was about to leave for work, and he sees this man come screaming out of the house, covered in blood. The neighbor called 911 as well. The police and the ambulance arrived, and they took Han straight to the hospital, where he was actually put into an induced coma. So no one knew exactly what was going on in the house but Jennifer. So the York Regional Police interviewed Jennifer that night, and basically she told them that two men came in the house, started taking money from her, tied her to the banister, and then took her parents downstairs and shot them.
I was like, what happened?
When you hear your mom come in, do you hear your mom in the house?
She was in the house. I had gone down the stairs.
Did you hear, so before this is when did you hear your mom for the first time in the house?
When she came home.
So did you physically see your mom?
Yes.
And at that time there was no one strange in the house?
No, she was on the downstairs sofa. She was watching TV when I last saw her.
Between that time that you see her and you leave her on the sofa until you hear the noises, the strange, the voices as you describe them, how long is that?
Maybe a half hour.
A half an hour? Where is it your mom was before here?
She goes dancing every Monday. She goes dancing with a few relatives as well.
What is the first, when you hear this, can you hear them talking downstairs, the unknown voices?
It's all a mumble.
It's a mumble?
Because I had the TV on, it was just all a mumble.
When's the first time that you actually can hear one of them talking?
When he was upstairs, and I thought he had left the upstairs, because I was frozen in my room for a while.
Yeah.
Trying to listen in, but I couldn't hear over my TV, and I didn't want to startle them by turning it off or like diminishing the volume. So I was kind of pressed up against my door for a while trying to hear it. And I thought that all the people upstairs had gone down, so I opened up my door quietly and tried to peer out, and he saw me, and that's when he came. The only thing I can remember was he had dreadlocks.
Did you see the gun?
I only saw the top part of the gun.
What did it look like?
Kind of, it was black.
Yeah.
And it
What did it look
kind
like?
of, not triangular, but it was slightly wider at the end. They sit me right at the bottom of the stairs, like slightly out, not exactly directly at the bottom of the stairwell, but just slightly over a little. The third guy, who I didn't encounter, but who was there, he was like, "Where's your money? Cooperate with us." And then my mom's like, yelling, and "Don't hurt us," and my money's in my wallet, just please leave my paperwork.
This person, this third guy who you're now describing, do you see him ever? Only as a shadow?
Because there's a wall, partial wall, and he was like right in that vision over my father, but partially in that vision. And the next thing I can hear are them telling my parents to move to the basement.
Okay.
And I'm asking them, why, where are you going? And my mom's yelling to me, "I want my daughter. Why can't my daughter come too? I want my daughter."
Who goes down to the basement? Can you see that from where you're
My
sitting?
back is towards the wall.
Do you hear anyone else in the main level where your parents were? Like you can hear, if people are trucking down the stairs, you hear your parents going down the stairs. Do you hear like 5 sets of footsteps going down there, or can't you hear that?
I was just such a distress. I don't exactly know how many people went down.
Now you wonder how she was able to call 911 when she was tied up. 2 days after the original interview, the police ended up bringing Jennifer back in.
She was able to call 911 with that iPhone burner phone. She probably told Siri to call. Sorry. I don't know if Samsung. I think the other phone she had was a Samsung, and I don't know if those have anything similar to Hey Siri, but if they do, maybe she called it that way. Because I know you can ask Siri to call. Well, at least I believe you can. I'm like 90% sure. I've never actually had Siri do it, but I assume you could, because it would make sense to allow it to have that feature in case you're somewhere where you can't reach your phone or whatever.
Because they were really questioning how she was able to so easily call 911 when she was tied up.
Stand up and turn around. Put this in the side that you believe it was in. Great. Turn around so that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were, okay? Now, and are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm
Yes?
around the banister,
Yes?
but my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone, and how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
So Bick's funeral was held on November 15th, 2010 at the Ogden Chapel in Scarborough. During the funeral, the police actually had someone there specifically to spy on Jennifer and see how she was acting, see if she seemed like someone who just went through this horrible, invasion. People come into her house, tie her up, shoot her parents. She should be absolutely devastated. But they actually noticed that during the funeral, she didn't show any emotion at all, which of course, everyone shows grief differently. That's something that everyone knows, but you have to take it into consideration when someone's not showing anything at all. And it actually didn't take long before people around her started to feel like the whole thing was sketchy, including the police. And so the police ended up surveilling her a lot of the time. They had someone watching her secretly pretty much at all times. One thing that really wasn't adding up to police at first was that this was supposedly a burglary, that these people invaded the house and were asking for money. But this doesn't add up because the keys to their Lexus was sitting in plain view out on the counter. Why wouldn't someone take a car? There wasn't a single electronic stolen, no jewelry or anything like that. And they even discovered that there was still money hidden in the house. They also thought it was strange that they weren't carrying any type of crowbar with them. It seemed like they knew that the front door was already going to be unlocked and just waiting for them. And the thing that just really wasn't adding up was, why would the intruders leave Jennifer completely unharmed? If they wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, then they would have killed her too. So 3 days after this all happened, on November 12th, Han actually woke up from his coma, and he was in really bad shape. He had a broken bone close to his face, so he had bruising on his face. He had bullet fragments actually stuck in his face, and he had a shattered neck bone. However, surprisingly, he remembered everything from that night. He said that while the men were in the house that night, he remembered Jennifer talking to one of them like they were friends. He saw them. He also said that her arms were not tied behind her back, that she was not tied to the banister, that she was in fact walking around with these people around the house. So obviously this is hugely different from what Jennifer is telling police, so they decide to bring her in for a third interview. And this interrogation lasted a long time. The interrogation lasted 9 hours, and they were really at the point where they were starting to put blame on Jennifer to see how she would react and see if they could get her to just spill the truth. So eventually she cracked, and she said that she was lying to them. But she didn't tell them the complete truth. She said that she was depressed, that her life sucked, she was, basically on house arrest and stuff, and that she wanted someone to come in and kill her. But they got confused, and they got her parents instead. She said that she had given up on her life, didn't want to live anymore, and that she had just hired someone to do it all for her because it scared her. So police ended up, of course, arresting Jennifer right there on the spot. Eventually, the police were able to figure out who the men were that were involved in the attack by looking through old, phone records, text messages, and stuff like that. She had gotten rid of her SIM card, but there were some that were still on her iPhone. They eventually arrested all of them. Trial began on March 19th, 2014, and it lasted almost 10 months. There were more than 50 witnesses that testified. Jennifer was on the stand for 7 days, and basically, since there was already text message proof that she hired them to do this, her only defense was to pretend like she was hiring them for a different reason. She basically went in there and said she tried to cancel and they wouldn't let her. Her defense started saying that she was going to have to pay regardless, and that she was even going to have to pay them to not do the attack at this point. However, the argument was really, really weak and defeated in court pretty quick, because there were over 100 messages that day between between Jennifer and Dan.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if you make a deal with people who are hired to kill people, do you really think that you'd be able to just cancel it without having to still pay them anyway? Like, they don't care. You made a deal. You're supposed to be paying them. Obviously, they still want their money, whether they actually do the killing or not. No refunds. What the fuck?
And the other guys talking about what was going to happen to her parents that night. So didn't seem like you tried to cancel that hard, girl. But they also did try to argue that Jennifer had been through years and years of abuse from these really strict tiger parents, and that she just couldn't take it any longer, that she had snapped and there was nothing she could do about it. However, all of them were convicted on December 13th, 2014. Each of them received a life sentence without any possibility of parole for 25 years. So it's possible that they could end up staying in jail forever. We won't know until they apply for parole in 25 years, but they can't even do so until then. So they're going to be in there for a while. This was only Jennifer, Daniel, David, and Lenford, though.
If there's no possibility of parole, how can they apply for parole?
Eric to deal with. He was still tried with them, but his lawyer was sick, so they ended up delaying his trial a little bit. And in 2015, he ended up taking a plea deal. So basically, he only got 18 years because he decided to plead guilty. Jennifer's dad and her brother Felix ended up requesting a court-ordered protection on them where she could have no contact with them. And the judge honored this, so she was not allowed to talk to either of them or have any contact with Daniel either. And of course, this was incredibly hard on Jennifer's dad. He is said to be a shadow of what he once was. He is unable to work due to his injuries. He's depressed. He has...
Well, his kid tried to kill him, and then his kid had his wife killed. Obviously, he's... Oh my god.
Nightmares, insomnia. People around him said that he has just not lived a normal life at all since. He's got such severe anxiety that he can barely function anymore, which, I mean, is pretty understandable. It would be so hard to find out that someone you thought you loved and trusted, you know, hired someone to take you out. You would probably never sleep okay again. He made one statement saying that he hopes that his daughter can realize what she did and become a decent human, basically. Felix ended up wanting to kind of start his own life away from everyone, so he moved to the East Coast. Jennifer will be 49 before she's even considered for parole, but I highly doubt any of them will get parole. They're all currently being held in different correctional facilities, and Eric ended up actually passing away in his cell in 2018. That's a whole nother thing. But basically, the fact that Jennifer's dad survived was really what blew the top off of Jennifer's whole life. I mean, there's a possibility they could have found out about it, whether he survived or not, but him being able to say all that definitely made them take a second look at her and see that her story actually made no sense. It's a really crazy story. I would love to know what you guys think of this, but that's it for me today, guys, and I will talk to you next time.
That's insane. I'm sorry, but like, I mean, I get like if your parents like crazy controlling, like you might want to get away from them, but like there's better ways than to have them murdered. Like, leave. Like, especially if you're over 18. If you're legally an adult, go somewhere else. You don't have to stay. Like, leave. Don't have your parents murdered. Like, what is wrong with people? And then to sit there and lie about it and be like, oh no, these people came in and they tried to kill everybody. Oh my god. Anyway. This lady's crazy. I remember actually, I think I don't remember what channel it was I watched it on, but I watched like a full video about this murder like years ago, and it was like the whole, like it showed like her interviews with police and everything, and it was a little bit more in detail than this one was, if I remember correctly. And I just remember being like, who thinks of dumb shit like that? Like, yeah, let's do this. Like, why would you even remotely think that you could get away with it, first of all? Second of all, like, I get, excuse me, not liking people, but like, to have them killed is completely different. I don't know. People are just fucked up. I don't know. Wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be me. I also wouldn't survive jail either, so I'm not trying to do anything to get myself put there. My extent of jail is when I go in to visit people. That's it. Otherwise, I am not staying.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing another true crime video.
Again, this is Kendall Ray, True Crime Kendall Ray. This episode is... Please hold. When you mean my password's wrong. Seizure or murder is Sandra... Oh my god, it's moving so slow. Is Sandra Melgar guilty? Ooh. I don't know.
This one is a very frustrating one.
It's already
it is
light,
one
so I
that
probably
I think
listened to
there's
it
going to
before.
be really varying opinions out there about what happened and who is responsible. This is either one of the weirdest cases ever, or it's a major misjustice to a victim's family. But before I get started, this video was kindly sponsored by Skillshare. If you have not heard of Skillshare, you have been missing out. Skillshare is an awesome platform and a way to access a ton of information and learn about pretty much anything online right at your fingertips. They have over 30,000 classes in all types of subjects, from business to design to photography. So they have a bunch of really serious classes, but they also have a bunch of leisurely classes if you just want to learn something, like their houseplant classes, and that's actually called Learn with the Sill. I already have a pretty basic knowledge of plant care and a pretty green thumb, but the Sill had a bunch of extra information to check out that free trial. People like to be around.
You know, learning how to edit videos might be worthwhile, seeing as I am obviously not very good at it. I'd also like to learn Photoshop better, because... And then, like, actually start doing something with some of the photography that I've taken and, like, actually edit them to, like, feel perfect, and then be able to upload them places. Maybe eventually I'd be able to sell my photography. Probably not. I don't think anybody would want to buy it, but... I know I would, but that would kind of defeat the purpose. Because I like... Well, actually, I'm pretty critical of a lot of my photography. Like, sometimes I'll look at a picture I took and I'm like, oh my god, it's so pretty. And then I look at other pictures I took and I'm like... Or I'll be like, oh man. Actually, no. What happens more often is I'll look at a picture that I took and I'll be like, wow, that's really good. But, or if this wasn't in it, or but the lighting was bad, or like I'll find like the composition of the photo or the subject of the photo I'll like, but something else in the photo I won't like, and I'll be disappointed about. So for example, like I have pictures of Horseshoe Bend, and the lighting is terrible in them. I mean, obviously, if I threw them in Photoshop, I might be able to fix the lighting some. Actually, I probably would be able to. If I knew what I was doing, I'm sure I could make them look pretty nice. It was because of the time of day that I was there. I got there at, like, shortly after sunset. So, like, the sun had just gone down behind the horizon, but, like, so it was, like, duskish. I have other photos, like some pictures from Arches National Park that I really like the photo, but like there's certain things in the photo that I don't like. So like, again, if I learned how to use Photoshop better, not like Photoshop to like add crazy stuff or like do all kinds of crazy editing, no, just to like, for example, like say there's a power, obviously not in Arches, but like say I have a photo but there's like a power line going through it, like I'd be able, if I could remove the power line and make the photo better type thing, you know, or like there's a fire hydrant there, you know what I mean, that I happened to not see when I was taking the photo. I could remove the fire hydrant, you know, things like that. Or like maybe like brighten the colors or something, I don't know, but like mainly for me is to like fix the random things that like I didn't notice. So basically the composition of the photo. Like I remember at one point I did learn some Photoshop stuff when I took a digital photography class in college. I definitely prefer darkroom photography than digital photography, like the classes anyway. I actually prefer analog photography better than digital. However, I like how instant a digital camera is, because you like with, I believe it would be called analog, I don't know, 35mm film camera, like with film, like you take a picture and then you have to wait for it to develop and then you get to see like how the picture came out, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether the lighting was good, whether your settings were right, you know, things like that. Whereas with digital, you take the picture and then you can almost pretty much instantly see like, oh, okay, I gotta fix this, or I gotta fix that, or I have to change these settings, you know. So there's pros and cons. However, I mean, obviously for like really expensive cameras, like the lighting would, the colors would probably be very similar or equal. However, I found frequently with a digital camera, the colors that you see with your eyeballs don't equal what you see on the screen often. Whereas more often, if you take a photo with film, the colors translate like more equally, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. Again, like if you have a super high quality, like very expensive digital camera, or like you know how to use the settings a lot better, you probably could mitigate that. However, I'm still learning the settings. So like, maybe I can go on Skillshare and learn how to actually control the settings on my camera better. Because I do have actually a decent digital camera. I don't like carrying it around because it's heavy. So I usually just use my phone, which I think technically my phone has like more megapixels than my camera now. But my camera has like much better zoom, and I can change like all the settings and do all kinds of crazy shit like with settings and stuff on my phone, on my camera, that I can't do with my phone. So like if I want to do like long exposure or things like that, which next time I go out west, like I would like to go during warmer months rather than in the middle of winter where it's cold, and actually do some like long exposure night photography. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe someday. Hopefully within the next couple of years, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I would really like to do that. But I would like to learn how to do it. And it was funny because like I had bought my camera just before driving out to Arizona in 2020. And yeah, because I bought it like during like a Black Friday deal in 2020, and then drove out to Arizona in December of 2020. So I bought it like a couple weeks before we went, and I was working a bunch of hours before we went too, so I didn't have time to like actually like read the book or like study on how to like take pictures with it correctly, like to better take pictures with it, to learn like, because things that I wanted to be able to do was like long exposure and like things like that, and try to take pictures of like the Milky Way and like the night sky and stuff. But I didn't know how, because I didn't get a chance to learn how to use the camera like properly, like to do the specific things I wanted to do before going. So and then even after going, I still haven't taken the time to learn. But I would, because there's not much night sky photography out here like in Massachusetts. Like if you go out to like Marconi Beach, it's probably a pretty dark area. If you look at like the light pollution map, Marconi Beach area is pretty decent. Like Race Point area is not as dark, but like there's certain parts on like Cape Cod National Seashore that's good, decently dark skies for the area. Compared to out west, it's like city light. You know, it's like in the middle of a lit parking lot basically, compared to out there. But I mean, you might be able to get some pictures out. I don't know, probably not. But I definitely like, so maybe I'll practice some during this summer. I don't know, last summer I didn't bring my like good camera with me when I was down there all summer because, well, mainly because I was, you know, I don't know, it makes me nervous like traveling with my camera, because like I don't want, you know, like God forbid like somebody breaks in my car and steals it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I do want to take I want to get like, what's that called? Like, not a hard drive, but is it called hard drive? I don't know. basically like I forget what it's called, but basically it's like memories, like storage memory, and then like take the, oh my god, my brain's not working. Basically take the SD cards that I have from like my trip from Arizona and like upload them to like something, so that way they're also backed up somewhere else, so just in case something happens to those SD cards, that I'll still have those photos. I just don't know how to back that up. I wish I was better with technology. Anyway, back to True Crime with Kendall Ray, and enough of my ranting and raving about how my lack of capabilities with technology.
And when he was in high school, he met Sandra.
1970. I'm actually gonna go.
Here's Sandra. There she is.
She was the ROTC girls drill team commander.
There he is. Jim Melgar. And the two of them started dating. They ended up getting married. They were high school sweethearts, and they ended up forming a really amazing life together. They had a daughter named Liz. They were really supportive of each other. They were really, really close and connected to each other. Definitely knew what was going on in each other's lives. Everyone who knew them said that they were like super loving towards each other.
They're an awesome couple. Really loving.
Bob and Patsy Worrell were friends with the Melgars. Showed any sign of being annoyed with her for, having these health issues. So let's fast forward to December of 2012. So it was December 23rd of 2012, and this was actually their 32nd wedding anniversary, so they were celebrating. So first they went to dinner at their favorite local Mexican restaurant and had a nice meal. After that, they decided to stop at a CVS on the way home to get some drink mixers to make some cocktails back at home. They got home, it was really casual. They just started hanging out, making drinks, and they decided to take a soak in their jacuzzi tub that they had in their bathroom in their master suite. So they were literally just chilling in a hot tub, relaxing on their anniversary, maybe, having a little love session. I mean, who knows what was going on in there. But they were having a nice time. She said they were really just talking and relaxing and soaking in their hot tub. But while they were sitting in the bathtub, their dog started barking outside, and Jim thought that was weird, so he got out of the bathtub to go see what was going on. And after a while, he didn't come back. So Sandy actually started to get out of the hot tub herself. She said she got out, walked to her closet, and sat down and just started applying leg lotion
party people?
And then I kind of got stuck.
Do you have pain?
Do I have pain? My legs were cramping and my wrists hurt from the.
Nowhere else?
I don't really like that one.
I have pain in my head. Here.
Like what?
My face is peeling, like all right here, like right here, here, and then like right here. It's gonna get worse. My neck also got burnt, and like around the rim of like the back of my neck, this side. My arms, like from like here to here, and then on my hand, like a little bit. It's not that noticeable in this like light, but that's probably all gonna peel too. Wear suntan lotion, kids. Sunblock saves you from being burnt and peeling.
Like I got hit up.
Oh, I'm listening to True Crime with Kendall Ray. Oh my god. I'm a dunce sometimes. This one is Seizure or Murder. Is Sandra Melgar guilty? Basically, she was like in the bath. Her husband like got up to like go check on the dogs, and then when he came back, he like didn't come back. So she got out and was like putting on lotion while like getting ready, I guess, for him to come back. I don't know. It was on their anniversary, and then she just like that's all she remembers is putting on the lotion, and then she, like the next day her family or their family showed up because like they were supposed to be there for something. I don't remember why, but they like let themselves into the house, and then they heard her yelling for help. So then they went upstairs to the bedroom, and she was like locked in a closet with like a chair propped up on the outside of the closet, so she couldn't open it. And when they opened up the closet, she was tied up inside the closet. So, and then they ended up finding her husband tied up in like, or like beaten or something like that, like murdered basically, but I don't remember if he was tied up or not. I think he was tied up as well, but in the other closet. So, yeah, that's where we are. And they're trying to decide, I guess the cops think it looks fishy. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know how she could have been at fault for it if she's tied up and propped, like, locked in the closet. I mean, unless, like, she, like, had, like, co-conspirators and, like, told them to do that. People are fucked up. You never know.
And my wrist is hurt.
Hold on. I'll rewind it to the beginning of her statement.
Hands up, which were covered in blood, to try to open the safe to get the gun. So the police decide that the best place to start is with Sandy. I mean, she was obviously with Jim all night. She was the closest to this experience, so they bring her in for questioning. And immediately, police are already starting to think that there is no way that there was actually a home invasion, that this was a home invasion that was staged by Sandy in order to kill her husband for some reason, and they wanted to find a motive.
Any disagreement?
We didn't drink much. I think I had two. I don't even think I finished the second. And I had three. He got out once to go get ice and then come back.
Oh yeah, and I as I've said earlier, I don't know how to get the green screen to go away. I'm not sure. I try to get it go away, it won't go away. It just, technology hates me. I don't know.
That he was gonna put the dogs, move the dogs because they were barking too much.
Y'all sat there for a good solid 2 hours talking?
Yeah. He got out and said he was moving the dogs to the office because when they're too loud. And he just, it was taking a while, so I got out and was gonna get dressed. That's all I remember until I woke up. And I remember I woke up and I thought I had a seizure because my muscles hurt and my head was just hurting real bad. And usually, lately I've been having trouble with controlling my seizures. Several hours later, I woke up and realized I was tied up. So I tried to flip over, and then I kind of got stuck.
Do you have pain?
Do I have pain? My legs were cramping, and my wrists hurt from the.
Nowhere else?
I have pain in my head. Here.
Like what?
Like I got hit on the head. I don't know, I fell or was pushed or what, but it's like all alongside this side.
So when you're in
From what I understand, is usually if people have seizures, depending on the type of seizures that they have, like, you know, especially if they have seizures where like they fall, like, or like actual, I'm not a seizure expert, I don't really know, but like when they have the seizures where they're actually like shaking and stuff, they can, you know, fall, hit their head, or hit their head on something once they're already fallen. Like, I mean, maybe the cop doesn't know that. I don't know. You would think that the cop would at least know that. I guess maybe not. I don't know. But I assume that when you come out of a seizure, you're going to be in a lot of pain anyway, like body aches anyway, because like from like your muscles like tightening up while you're having a seizure. I've never had a seizure, so I don't know what it feels like or what it feels like afterwards, but I can only imagine that you're probably going to be sore, and there's possibilities that you can hit like your head or whatever on stuff. I know a girl that used to be a client at one of the group homes that I worked at one point. She used to have seizures, and well, I assume she still does. I don't work there anymore, but I remember at one point, I think it was like just before I started working there, she had a seizure and she broke her leg during the seizure because she hit her leg on something while she was seizing. So, I mean, to me, it's not super far-fetched that somebody could hit their head on something and their head could hurt from that, or their head could hurt because somebody broke into their house and bashed them on the head. I don't know. Or maybe the person like broke in, came up behind her, bashed her on the head, and then that caused her to have a seizure. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
jacuzzi, what are you wearing when you're in the jacuzzi?
I do want to know.
Nothing at all. And
Who are you doing?
who found you today?
My sister-in-law, Carmen.
Okay, what were you wearing when your sister-in-law found you?
This robe and this nighttime. When I wake up, I hear the dogs crying, actually. And then all of a sudden, they started barking. And then that's when I heard their voices.
Yeah. And where are you at right this time?
In the closet. But I was like up against the bottom of the door. And so I started yelling.
Okay. And then what happened?
They came in, and I don't remember, I think I saw him first, Herman, or her husband first. And he tried to untie it, and he couldn't.
Untie what?
The ties on my hands and my feet.
Okay, and how are you tied?
Behind my back. Behind my back and my legs. I couldn't straighten them.
Herman shows up because he hears you yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does he do at that point when he finds you?
He tries to untie me, and he couldn't. And
So he gets right, sees you in the closet, walks right in?
no, the chair was blocking it. There was a chair. I usually keep that chair inside my closet.
How was it blocking the door?
I don't know, but I just saw when he moved it, it like blocked the chair, and then the chair, when he tried to open the door, the chair stopped it, and then he moved the chair, and then opened the door. And I was on the floor, and I told him to please untie me.
How was the family members over there today?
My husband had invited me for dinner.
And what were y'all's planning for the future?
Maybe they're just fucking busy.
What do you want to do in the future?
Why is this cop like?
Truck. We talked about trading my car in or something else. Something to travel with.
Cop seems like a dick. Felt like something stuck between my teeth.
So what is your understanding? What has happened? What's happened?
I'm trying to remember. I think when we left CVS, there was a car following us because when we came in our neighborhood, it was still behind us, and he just was getting close. And I get upset with him because he would drive slower when someone was tailgating him, and I tell him don't do that because, you know, it's dangerous. But the guy turned left, and we turned right, and so we thought it was just coincidence.
Who else would be in the house?
No one would that I know of, no one. But we wouldn't have left the garage door open either.
You would have closed the garage door.
I never used that side. I know how it looks. But I was also tied up, and I couldn't, that's just.
You said you hadn't had much to drink. You're coherent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what are you hearing before you?
Dogs barking. She said.
Nobody running, nobody saying anything, shouting.
You know, right after, sometimes I can't even tell you my name.
Okay. And let me ask you this.
True.
When I asked you before.
That's nothing. Like, usually when people come out of seizures, they're really confused, and like, you're sitting there like asking her, like, depending on how bad the seizure was, depends on how long that they're confused for. Like, they're like asking her all kinds of questions. I don't know. I feel like he's like, I mean, I get that like right after something happens, like you have to get as much information from the person as possible so that way they don't forget. But I don't know. I feel like she's, at least so far in the story, I feel like she's a victim too. So the way he's like badgering her, I feel like he's just being a dick. Like, I get that he thinks that she has something to do with it, but damn. Break above the matrix. I don't know what that means, but sure.
Question, why are we here? Do you know what has happened today?
Something was shot.
What do you understand?
I heard it.
What do you understand has happened? Who told you that he was murdered?
I saw him.
You did?
Yes, when they untied me, I heard hysterical screaming, and I ran over there, and I checked his pulse to see if there was anything we could do. Yeah, I saw him.
Sandy claims that when all this happens, while she was putting the lotion on, she at some point has a seizure.
What did you do when you woke up the first time?
I couldn't move because I had a seizure, and so I usually can't move anyway.
How often do you have seizures like that?
I've been getting them more lately. I'm not able to drive anymore. Oh, I have auras, signs that tell me that I'm going to have one. It's like I'm very forgetful, more than usual.
I've seen seizures before. I've never had one myself, but it's horrific. It's really scary, and you totally shut down. It's like the person leaves their body. So I can definitely understand how if you have epilepsy and you have a seizure, you would black out and wouldn't know what was going on. Sandy said that when she woke up, she was in so much pain from her seizure that she literally couldn't move. She's pretty sure that she was hit in the head, which knocked her out and triggered a seizure. But police insisted that it was too convenient for her to have just blacked out while her husband is being murdered in the other room. So after interrogating her and pretty much breaking her down, the police asked her if she wanted to do a polygraph test.
Not all cops.
Many of you probably know polygraph tests are
I also know
often
they're
wrong.
just
They
doing
can
their
really not
job.
be
They're
taken
just
seriously
saying.
as real evidence because
Sometimes people could
they're
be a
so
little more
often
compassionate.
wrong, it's insane. Things like stress and trauma can change the results. And so she decided not to do the polygraph test. She said she was under way too much stress from the police, from the incident that she just went through, from being tied up, having a seizure, all of these things, losing her husband. So she flat out said, I don't want to do the polygraph test. Now, oftentimes police will take a person deciding not to take the polygraph test as an automatic, like, admission of guilt, and they really start honing in on that person. The police ended up not having any solid evidence that Sandy was to blame here. there, so they ended up letting her go, and she was not considered a suspect. For the next year and a half, the case remained open. They were trying to work on it, but there were no serious leads or anything. And meanwhile, Sandy was at home trying to recover, trying to heal with her family and make sense of what had happened to them. And just when the family is starting to think that it's kind of all, put to rest, they ended up finding out that there was a grand jury indictment for Sandy Melgar for the murder of her husband, Jim Melgar. They put out a warrant for her arrest, so the family decided that the best thing to do was to have Sandy contact her lawyer and turn herself in. So that's what she did. She was charged, but was released on bail for the next 3 years while they got the trial together. Finally, in 2017, it was time for the trial to start. So during her trial, prosecutors ended up arguing that Sandy actually wasn't really in love with Jim, that they had this fake loving relationship and everyone knew them as this great couple, but it was all a facade because she actually wanted a divorce. One thing to note here is Sandy and Jim were Jehovah's Witnesses, which is very serious. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but they take things like marriage very seriously. So prosecutors started making an argument that maybe she wanted a divorce, but she didn't want to deal with the shame that would come with that from her religion. So she decided to just stage his death. Sandy completely denied this, said that she had no intention of wanting a divorce. In fact, they were celebrating their wedding anniversary that night. The prosecutors also argued that Sandy...
If you wanted a divorce, why would you be celebrating your anniversary? That makes no sense to me.
Had somehow convinced Jim to tie his own feet up with the telephone cord as some type of sexual game. And they made their case that after this, Sandy gets up, goes down to the kitchen, gets a knife, and just goes upstairs and starts absolutely wailing on her husband. And they said that all of the stuff that made it seem like a home invasion were completely set up by Sandy because she pulled out all the drawers and ransacked the house and even hid belongings of hers. They said when they first looked at the scene that there were a few red flags right away. For example, the scene of the house is really weird. I mean, I will say it too. There are some things that you would think someone would have taken. Like, for example, there were drawers open that hadn't been emptied. One of them had a camera in it. There were pieces of jewelry that they could have taken that weren't taken. It was only certain things, but there were bikes in their garage. There were prescription medications that someone might want to steal. I mean, she had a lot of medication. That's something that's often taken in a home invasion. There were still TVs. There were all these different things. Like, if someone's gonna break in and kill someone, wouldn't they want to make it worth it and steal everything that they can? So that was really weird. However, they did notice that there were plugs where there used to be a TV plugged in and the TV was missing, for example, or a radio. So it was kind of mixed. There definitely were some things taken. It just was strange that not every single thing that could be taken was taken. But this definitely, leaves some room in the jury for reasonable doubt. Could this have been staged?
But that night, deputies made this video showing how Sandra could have staged the crime scene to look like a home invasion, pulling the chair against the door from inside the closet.
But there was no side man that she had. There was no life insurance policy. There was really no reason for her to want...
Okay, I mean, there might be a video of how to do this, but how would you be inside a closet and pull a chair up and wedge it underneath the door handle to make it so that way you can't get out? I could see possibly being able to tie yourself up, especially even behind your back. I can kind of see being able to do that. Because I mean, if you can tie a knot with one hand, you should be able to probably tie yourself up behind your back. I mean, I can tie my shoe with just one hand. It's a pain in the ass and it's hard to do, but I can tie my shoe with just one hand. So if I can do that with just one hand, I could probably tie my hands together behind my back. However, I don't see how you could wedge a chair up underneath the door handle from inside. I mean, again, there might be video of how to do it, because I'm listening to the podcast, I'm not watching the video. Because it is actually a video, but I'm listening just to the audio. So there might be video of it. However, it just, I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to me.
Kill inside the closet.
But there was no side man that she had. There was
no
life insurance policy. There was really no reason for her to want to kill her husband on their anniversary like that. Another thing was Sandy was completely clean when they found her. Not any blood on her hands or anything. There was no signs of blood in the sinks, in the bathtub. tub. Also, she had absolutely no defense wounds. Like, she didn't even have a broken nail or a scratch on her. Like, if she was really fighting
And
with
the
Jim
husband
at the end of his...
and the husband had defense wounds, which means he was fighting back. So if she was fighting him and he was fighting back, then she would have cuts and bruises or whatever on her. Like, what?
life, he had clear marks where he was fighting back, but she didn't have anything. One thing that the defense argued is that there was random DNA for a male and a female, both unknown, in different parts of the house. Now, if you remember, there was a female's blouse found in the hot tub as well. One thing that was kind of sketchy, though, is prosecutors were able to pull Sandy's recent medical records in the last couple of years, and basically, whenever doctors had asked her if she was having seizures, she would say no.
During the trial, the prosecution had acquired all the medical records and showed and just listed the dates up there and everything else for doctor's visits. No seizure, no seizure, no seizure, getting better, you know, that kind of stuff.
And prosecutors actually argued that even though she was tied up and everything, Sandy was able to prop that chair up and lock herself in the closet. They basically argued that she would have been able to tie herself up and stage the entire thing. However, Jim's brother...
I don't understand why she would be telling the doctors that she's not having seizures if she was. Or maybe she hadn't been having seizures. Maybe they were getting better, and then because she got hit in the head, it triggered a seizure, like she said. Like, because I mean, I don't really know, but I assume blunt force trauma to the head could cause a seizure, especially in somebody with a history of seizures. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm assuming here. But again, how the frick did she tie herself? I mean, like, tying yourself up, I could kind of get, like, you could probably do that. But the whole locking yourself in the closet and wedging a chair up on the outside of the door, how do you do that by yourself? I don't know.
The one who found and locked herself in the closet. They basically argued that she would have been able to tie herself up and stage the entire thing. However, Jim's brother, the one who found them, believes that Sandy is innocent, and he said that when he found her, her arms were tied up like this, you know, tied around her forearms, not just her hand. So it'd be like nearly impossible to do that type of tie on yourself. Another thing that they used in trial was this chair, this dining room chair that was mysteriously in their bedroom. They argued that Sandy actually brought the chair into the bedroom and made Jim sit on it as some type of like sexual activity, pretended that she was going to give him a massage, and then killed him. But if you actually look at the photos from the crime...
Earlier, when she was being, like, interviewed by the police, though, she said that she usually has that chair in the bedroom. And I don't remember why she said, but, like, she said that the chair is usually up there. So, if the chair is usually up there, then it's not up there for any, like, freaky stuff. Like, what the hell?
And made Jim sit on it as some type of like sexual activity, pretended that she was going to give him a massage, and then killed him. But if you actually look at the photos from the crime scene, you can see that there's a little mark where the chair was sitting, indicating that that chair had been there a long time. And we actually found out that they used the chair so that their Pomeranian could get up and down from the bed. So, I mean, any pet owner understands something like that. So the chair was always there, and that bit of evidence is really weak.
None of Sandra...
Well, also with her health problems, I mean, I don't know what their bedroom looks like, but she might use the chair to help her get dressed, because sometimes if you got health problems, like standing while you're trying to put on pants or whatever, or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, some older people or people with chronic illnesses usually will often sit down to get ready in the morning or whatever, and maybe their bed's high. I don't know what their bedroom looks like. Again, I can't see it. I'm listening to the podcast. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's reasons. But, again, like I said, like, she had said during the police interview that the chair is usually in the room. And then, you know, she just said that, Kendall just said that there was marks in the carpet from where the chair usually is. And then they also said that it's for the Pomeranian to get up and down off the bed, which means that the bed's probably pretty high because... I mean, well, Pomeranians, I don't really know how high a Pomeranian can jump because I've never had one. But, I don't know, like, smaller dogs usually can't jump crazy high. So, I don't know. I'm just saying.
blood.
I still just don't understand how she can, like put the chair behind the door while inside. Like that to me is just how I don't know how that happens, but
From the crime scene, you can see that there's a little mark where the chair was sitting, indicating that that chair had been there a long time. And we actually found out that they used the chair so that their Pomeranian could get up and down from the bed. So, I mean, any pet owner understands something like that. So the chair was always there, and that bit of evidence is really weak.
None of Sandra's blood or DNA was found on Jim.
I don't know. I don't know why there wasn't any DNA found. I do know that if there had been DNA found on his body that came back to Sandra, it would have been explained by the sheer fact that they were married.
that too.
But there was unidentified male and female DNA found in the house. And the defense team says a TV...
They also argued during the trial that there was a potential suspect that police pretty much blew off. There was a guy living down the street who had been convicted of a few crimes and had actually just been released from jail a few nights before. And all police did for this man was bring a business card and put it in his door. And they never heard back from him, so case closed on that guy, I guess.
Closing arguments have just wrapped up in the case against a woman accused of murdering her husband and then trying to cover it up.
You guys saw the photos. You saw all the wounds that he had, the 13 stab wounds, all the other wounds that he had in his body and his head. Certainly that person intended to kill him, or that person certainly intended to cause serious bodily injury, which resulted in death. We've proven all of those things.
In the Sandra Melgar case,
There's no physical evidence in this case that points to her at all.
He makes a strike straight up all the way to his neck. That's what that first strike is. Jamie, of course, gets up to try and defend himself, turns around, and that's when she gets him on the thumb.
the defense criticizing shoddy detective work and saying the evidence is just not there.
Look at what remains. No broken nails, no problem with the hands, no bruising here where you would expect it if a knife was used.
We are on verdict watch in the case against 57-year-old Sandra Melgar. The jury started deliberating yesterday evening, continued to deliberate this morning, and in fact, just moments ago, took a break. We'll have to see what the jury decides, and we'll let you know when a verdict is handed down.
But after 11 days of trial, where most people thought there was no way that Sandy was going to be guilty for this, it was finally time for the jury to deliberate. It took the jury 2 days to reach a verdict. At first, they were really split down the middle, but over time, they ended up going one way. And that's when they found Sandra Melgar guilty of murdering Jim Melgar and sentenced her to 27 years.
And we figured at that point she would be in her early 70s and maybe have a chance of seeing her grandchildren at that point. So it was a humane decision, frankly. Do we think this woman's a threat to society? None of us thought that. Prosecutor's testimony, right? It all made sense. Now, was it absolutely provable? No, but it's the only thing that made sense.
Sandra told us just because her seizure condition was stable didn't mean she wasn't experiencing symptoms.
I believe that for one thing, people don't realize what a seizure is or what it feels like to go into a seizure, and then when you come out of a grand mal seizure, you know, you don't remember a lot of stuff.
But the things you were hearing from Sandra, the jury never did. She never took the stand to testify.
Both Sandy and Jim's family are completely shocked. There's really no one in their families that thinks that Sandy actually did this. I mean, really no one was expecting this.
You two are the only people that saw Sandra tied up. Is there any way in your mind she could have done that herself?
No. Para nosotros es imposible que lo haya hecho ella.
There's just no way that she could have done that to him.
I've lost my father, and here I am about to lose my mother. It's supposed to be the justice system that it's just completely broken.
They believe that they didn't get a fair trial. They were using evidence that wasn't even there, and their whole family has just been left absolutely shocked by this, just not even knowing what
That's
to
so
do.
messed up.
They got it wrong. They got it completely wrong. I had a lump on my head, so I was hit, and then I went into a seizure, more than likely. I mean, no one was there to actually see it, but that's how it felt like when I woke up.
Sandra, did you kill your husband?
No, I did not kill my husband. No.
And you have grandkids.
And my grandbabies, yeah.
You're missing out on.
I know. I I know that really hurts me. I miss them so much. I mean, I'm just gonna keep fighting this until I'm out of here.
Since then, there hasn't been too much going on. Sandy is in the process of appealing the verdict. The family is trying to raise funding for trying to figure out who actually did this and solve it themselves so that they can free her. There's been one big piece of evidence that they feel could possibly lead somewhere, and that is that blouse that was found in the bathtub is actually a specific type of blouse that can only be found at Costco stores, meaning that whoever did this was probably a Costco customer. I'm going to link the fundraising effort.
Or a Costco member purchased it and put it in a donation bin, or purchased it for somebody. That's a possibility too. Just saying. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual Costco member. Because like it could be somebody who was a Costco member and purchased the blouse for somebody else, or somebody, the Costco member could have purchased it, had it themselves, and then ended up like donating it or something. And then whoever bought it from, you know, Goodwill or wherever could have committed the crime.
So you guys can donate if you feel that this is a misjustice, because
Yeah,
I
I
really
think
do.
it's crazy.
I have
I
to
don't
really
think
insert
she's
my
guilty.
opinion on this. I think it's insane that she got convicted.
I
I
agree.
really did not expect this. I mean, I'm not saying that 100,000% there's no way she did this. I mean, there's always a possibility. Some of the most unpredictable people end up becoming murderers, and people kill their husbands all the time, even though they look like they're in love. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I really think it's really unlikely. And for them to have convicted her beyond a reasonable doubt is just insane to me. Like, this woman should not be in jail, in my opinion.
No.
I think this is absurd. I feel so sorry for this family, but of course, I'm open to your opinions on this. Let me know what you think. Do you think Sandy did it? Do you think that this is the outcome that should have happened? Let me know your thoughts on this
No,
one for sure, you
no.
guys. I'm just baffled by it.
Not
If you were
even
able to
remotely.
donate to the family's fundraising efforts, that link will be below. But that's it for me today, guys. I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.
That's cray cray.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another family involved true crime video. It's been a while since I've done one of these.
The Delphi murders. I actually just recently watched something about that the other day. I think it was something on the news. I want to say it was on the news really recently. I'm not sure why it was, but yeah, it was when I was at the laundromat doing laundry. The Delphi murders. Something about the Delphi murders was on the news. I don't remember why though. Trying to figure out what to do. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I would like to shower before I go to bed. I would also like to, I'm contemplating going and grabbing the clothes from outside. Well, from my car. Because I have stuff outside. Ugh. I don't know what time they're coming back tomorrow. But tomorrow when I get up, I then have to go and what do I gotta do? I want things I need to do or want to do tomorrow. Want/need. Need to do, I need to clean out my car. Hands down, number one of importance is clean out the car. Second importance, I would like to, I have, fleece and some spray glue, and what I want to do is I want to, lay out the fleece, and then I want to take the, my Reflectix, and I want to place it on the fleece to see if it's enough fleece. Is it fleece? Felt or fleece? I don't know. Fabric. Some kind of black fabric. I don't recall the kind of black fabric. Anyway, I want to put that down, lay it out to make sure all the pieces will fit. And then what I'd like to do is like say I put the piece this way, take the piece off, spray the piece with the adhesive, and then put the piece back onto the felt and stick it down, and then do that with all the pieces until they're all stuck down, and then cut around each piece. And then, you know, obviously cut it out of the felt or fleece or whatever it is, and then cut it out of the fabric, so that way if I want to put them up with the black out, I can put them up, put the black out, or if I want, or if it's like a hot day, I can put them up with like the shiny side out, so that way it reflects it. So that way I have options. I've been wanting to do that. I bought the stuff a while ago. It's just, it's been crappy out, so, and then on the nice days I've just been busy, so I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But first things first, I need to clean out the car. Second thing that is to do that. I'd like to do that tomorrow. Thirdly, what's the third thing I'm gonna do? I'd like to go through the clothes, like I said. But yeah, so I think first thing when I wake up, I'm going to take down the air mattress and then get ready to go outside, well, move my car to the back, then start going through stuff in the car. And then after I'm done with that, then move the crap. Then do like the window covering thing. And then after that, if I have time, maybe do the clothes. I don't know. I'd kind of like to just do the clothes like tonight. I'm contemplating doing it tonight. I really don't feel like it though. But I also want, when I do the clothes, I want to go through and try stuff on, which means I want to shower first, because I don't want to be putting on clean clothes while I need to shower. Like, I'm not like grubby or anything, but I still would like to shower before I be trying on clean clothes. I don't know, I just feel weird about trying on clean clothes while I haven't, like, if I haven't just showered. I'm strange, I know, but I do plan on showering like as soon as I get off this live, and then maybe I'll do the clothes then. I don't know, because I want to take everything that's like that I'm probably not going to wear over the summer and put in like a bag and then vacuum seal it, like things like winter coat and like my winter coat. I want to put some of like the thicker sweatshirts in there. I'm not sure where they are. Somewhere probably in my back seat and also in the duffel bag. I want to pull out everything that's like uniforms for school and put those in a Ziploc, like in one of the Ziploc suction air thingy bags too, because obviously unless I'm actively wearing that stuff for school, I don't need it, so therefore I'd rather it be stored, so I can stick it in storage if I do that. I don't necessarily need to put it in one of those Ziploc bags in order, like the air vacuum bags, in order to put it in storage, but I would, seeing as the stuff's clean, I'd rather put it in one of those rather than have it just randomly go into storage and smell funky. But kind of like the pillows. I know I'm weird. Again, I'm strange. I'm aware. But yeah, so because I think that's part of the reason why that duffel bag is so damn full. And then I had also put stuff in like those like packing cubes, and I feel like when I did that, it made stuff take up more space. However, I don't really know. So I want to pull all that out, and then I want to pull everything out of my trunk, because I have a lot of stuff in my trunk that I don't actually use, and it's just in there, and so I want to pull like everything out of the trunk and get rid of stuff that's obviously not being used, because it's just in the way and it takes up space and it's taking up weight or whatever. I don't know. If it's not needed, I want to get rid of it. So, but yeah. So there's that. there's also, like, I know that there's ramen in a container somewhere in my trunk. Like, it's not cooked, it's still dry. It's probably still good. I don't know. I need to check the dates on it. If it's gone bad, then I'll toss it. But if it's still good, then I'll keep it. Obviously. But, yeah, I don't know. I gotta go through the crap in my trunk. I also have this, like, bin in my trunk that has just, like, odds and ends, but it's got, like, cleaning supplies and all kinds of stuff in it. I kind of want to go through that and get rid of stuff that's in there that's no good to. Ow! Oh, I just scratched my sunburn. That sucked. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta go through a bunch of shit in my trunk and my back seat, and like, well, the front of my car's not as bad, but I gotta go through stuff. I don't know. Which means I need to go to bed soon. But yet I also, like, if I shower now and then I go and grab the clothes and then I go through the clothes now, then I won't have to go through the clothes tomorrow. Well, today technically, because it's already tomorrow. I don't know. I'm trying to decide. But yet I kind of want to listen to another one of these podcasts. I gotta put some stuff away, so I think while I'm putting this stuff away, I'll turn on the podcast. And then, yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to decide what I'm doing. Either way, after I'm done putting this stuff away, I'm going to go shower. When I go shower, I'm going to shut off the live stream, obviously, because unless I just have you staring at the screen while I'm in the shower, because obviously nobody's, that's not going to be live streamed. For obvious reasons. But yeah, so, and I do need to go shower. So I'm gonna put some stuff away and then I'm gonna go shower. I think, at least that's the start of the plan, I guess. And then from there, I don't know, possibly grab the clothes and start going through shit. I don't know. I'm trying to decide. I don't really know what to do. Because part of me wants to do it tonight so that way I don't have to do it tomorrow, because I have a lot of stuff I have to do tomorrow. But then part of me also would rather do it tomorrow, just because if I do it tonight, then that means I'm going to have to stay up later to do it tonight. Whereas if I do it tomorrow, then I mean, either way, it's going to take time. But the later I stay up, the later I'm going to wake up, which means the less daylight I'm going to have tomorrow. And also, I'm not sure what time they're coming back, so I don't know what time I need to be, like, packed up and out of here yet. Also, I'm contemplating doing a load of laundry after I shower. If I end up doing laundry after I shower, I might end up dealing with the clothes tonight. But if I don't end up doing laundry after I shower, I'll probably do the clothes tomorrow. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to start this podcast again while I'm finishing putting away the dishes and stuff that I washed earlier, and then I'll figure it out, I guess. I don't know. Either way, put stuff away, then
love getting to
take a
work
shower.
with an actual family member. I feel like it just elevates things and really helps me tell the story from their perspective, because oftentimes things are reported incorrectly. That's why I love when I have the opportunity to have a family member work with me, look over my research, and then also get to partake in the video itself. I have done this with several different families. If you've not seen any of those videos, I will link my family involved playlist below. And today I'm going to be telling you about something known as the Delphi murders or the Snapchat murders. And today I have Kelsey German joining me for this video, who is the sister of Libby German, who is one of the victims in the case I'm about to tell you about.
I am Kelsey German. I am Liberty German's older sister. At the time the girls were murdered, I was 17 years old and I am now 19. At the beginning of all of this, I wanted to go into communications. I wanted to be the person that interviews families rather than the person that works with families. Eventually, though, I found my passion in victims advocacy, and I started meeting families that were going through what I was going through, and I lost myself in it. I was so passionate for helping these people, it was crazy. So since then, I have decided to major in psychology and minoring in forensics and law and society.
All right, so now that you have been introduced to Kelsey, let's go ahead and start talking about this case. So Delphi is a town in Indiana that is northwest of Indianapolis. And it's a pretty small town. Under 3,000 people are currently living there. And the town is mostly farming area with a lot of land and plains.
I wish I got ice
And
cream.
Delphi is considered to be a pretty safe area. I mean, all the time you hear this in true crime cases, like, it was so safe, no one was expecting this, and then something happened. And that's why I always say, even in the safest of areas, you have to be vigilant. It's just, you know, part of living in the modern world. But this was a community that is known for leaving doors unlocked and, you know, letting kids roam around without a lot of adult supervision. Like, there was a sense of safety in this community. A lot of families are actually attracted to Delphi to raise their children in because it's a farming area, it's gorgeous, it's mellow and safe, and because it's in the country, it's considered to be a really safe area with very little commotion and not much going on.
Living in Delphi is the most small town experience you could ever have. The school is so small. I only graduated with like 96 people, if that kind of tells you how small we are. And I know there's smaller places, but compared to like the college I go to now, like 96 is nothing. And it's great because you know everybody and everybody knows you. And that can be a bad thing sometimes, but I think the fact that we all know each other kind of added to the fact that we all loved each other and cared so much when the news on the girls broke. Because we are such a tight-knit, close community, everybody was able to come together and help us search, and everybody wanted to be there to help, mainly because it was such a small town feel. It's definitely not the same now. Now it's a lot scarier. People don't leave their doors unlocked anymore, or go outside without parents, or go to the trails without supervision. We used to be able to go to the trails whenever we wanted and not be scared that something was going to happen. We were able to leave our doors unlocked and not be scared that somebody was going to come in and rob us. We were not worried about not having a gun in the house. It was just not a scary place to live. And I think now, after the girls, it's just gotten a lot scarier for people to live there. But we're still all super close and we still all love each other. And we're taking back our community one step at a time. Every day is another day closer to where we can live, knowing that we are safe.
My pan, like, even though I've scrubbed it and scrubbed it and scrubbed it, it still has like marks. I don't know if you can see, but like the black spots here, like, I don't know, I've scrubbed it and scrubbed it and scrubbed it. It ain't coming off. And like, you can't feel it either. It's not raised like there's something actually burnt stuck on. So I don't know. Still works. But anyway, I'm going to end this live stream because I need to go shower, and I'm not gonna live stream that, so for obvious reasons, as I said. But yeah, I'm gonna go shower, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do after that. I'm trying to decide if I want to deal with the clothes or not. I don't know. Either way, I'll probably end up live streaming tomorrow at some point. But hope y'all have a good night. See you later.